Okay, it's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call the order.
Robert's going to be throwing these at you.
Does it do it? I guess we need to wait for Michelle then.
Sure, she knows it's in order. She's having computer issues.
She's not coming? Michelle's on her way.
No, it's Tim not coming.
No, he is too, but I don't want to wait.
I don't blame you. Like,
She's out on leave.
make sure we're done.
She's out for a few weeks on short-term disability. I don't know, yeah. Well, hello, Tim. Hello?
Thank
You get this one? There you go. We're waiting on Michelle, who seems to have some computer problems.
I just threw a whole bunch of stuff your way. So.
Tim, when Jude started the meeting,
I have a lot of this stuff.
Tim?
when Jude started the meeting, the phone service said your storage space is almost full. So I don't know if
it'll
we're going to run into trouble with recording meetings.
in the future after tonight. Michelle says we have it covered with this, but
Okay.
I don't know.
They're very fast.
All set, Michelle?
Okay.
I'd entertain a motion to have our visitors moved up first on the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Before we do that, should we eat?
Should we see?
Oh, I'm sorry, we have to seat Maria.
Make a motion that, well, David requested it, so it really,
Doesn't need to be.
I don't think it needs to be voted on, but
It
we
was
can.
assigned.
Okay.
Because it's requested by a member.
Okay. We've always voted on it in the past, but that's.
I agree with you, and I made a mental note to do that. I did not, so.
If we want to make sure, we can make
Okay.
a motion for Maria to vote for Mr. Kelsey.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good. Maria, thank you. So I'd like to move the fire department up. Do you
I'd
have a
make that
first and a
motion.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Come on down. Whoever's coming, Jeff, no?
Steve, you going to start?
And this is you and Grub, right? You'll
Grub and
guide
I.
us through it?
Yep.
Great.
Good evening, all.
Hello.
Thanks for coming out, and thanks for all the work you do on this. Rob and I met with the leadership of the fire department last week and went through mainly their operating budget as well as their capital, and had some other discussions. I did email out the packet to everybody on the Board of Finance last week. You had a chance to at least look at it, and you received their copies tonight. I don't know, Steve, if you want to just, as we talked last week on the operating budget side, just kind of hit the highlights of the significant changes, because a lot of it's same old, but there are some.
We'll start at the top.
Okay.
We can start with the capital side of things.
Let's
No,
save
we
that for
saved
last.
that.
Last?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we brought some fiscal counts, the calls. Pretty much our year starts 4/20/22 starts our current year right now from 4/21/22 to present. We're at a 322 call for the year. We're at the end of our call time in 21/22. We only did 294. So basically, our call volume has increased. Our responses through New London County, a little bit of Middlesex County have increased. Our times out there are no longer a 15-20 minute. They're maybe 2 to 3 hour style calls. A couple big fires that hit the papers was the Bodger chicken coop recently. We were up there for 3 hours with 2 trucks. We've been to Montville Scrapyard a couple times. I believe it was twice so far past calendar year. We seem to be traveling more. Mutual aid, we're fortunate. We have a very healthy volunteer organization where other departments may be struggling a little bit. So the need for help has been increased. And we don't mind, because when we need the help, they returned the favor. So it's definitely some good stuff. But I wanted to bring out the call volume to let everybody know where we're at. Actually, we're at 372, I believe. I might be off there, John? Is that correct? 322 was the...
Yeah, the fiscal year is on top, everybody, the budget goes by fiscal year, so I put that in pound terms. If you extrapolate out the last year for the bottom one, if we stay at this average, we will be 372 calls for the year. That's how that would work out. And the business count, like I think Chief mentioned, is our year-to-date count as our operating year. Again, this is, if you take that second line, go all the way out for the full 12 months, that's where that number comes up.
So what we'll be doing tonight, as we go down the operational side, starting with page 6, this has been a truly a good year for the account managers. We're able to ask them to come up with their budget, what they feel is going to be necessary through the times of increases of everything, fuels, electricity, product in general. We're all feeling the crunch. So there was a definite increase of around, telephone 3%, which was a little bit more. Page 8, you'll see that there's a 20% increase on electricity. It's very difficult with electricity with the rates that are climbing right now through Dominion and Eversource. Small increase on building cleaning. I think when they spoke with Blackburn, the account manager found out that there may be a supply increase. So nothing too crazy. Building maintenance has definitely been on the rise. We had a couple significant repairs that were needed at the Cross Lane Station over this calendar year. We had some pipe issues. We had the new roof that was replaced 2 years ago, I believe it was, 3 years ago at the most. We had a clogged drain. The flat roof was actually flooded to the actual parapet. We had to have an emergency cleaning crew come up there, snake it out, and drain it. So it was definitely some costs that we didn't project. There are some things that we want to discuss with Cross Lane, obviously, towards the end of the meeting, but there was an increase with the 3 stations for maintenance a little bit. We got on the heat. Heat was brought up a little bit, 7%. Software and technology, that kind of just ran its course. Fuels.
Yeah.
Apparatus fuels was a major question amongst Grubby and with the increase of our call volume, obviously, the trucks are idling. We can't turn them off. We try to do our best to maintain our fuel costs down, but when you're on a scene on the highway or whatever for 3-4 hours, we need our radios, emergency lights for scene and safety, etc. Pumps are running. We've had some significant calls in town, late morning, structure fires, some storms with some trees down on houses that were prolonged 2 or 3 hours. The apparatus is on seat idling. I mentioned in the beginning that we're doing some not so far distance traveling, but to send 2 trucks to Basra or to Montville, it costs fuel. It's pretty much I use the term, the cost of doing business if we're going to be a shared partner to help out on the giving and the receiving side of things.
So, but one of the questions that Grubby and I had was, here you are year to date, you spent $8,700 on fuel and you're only asking for $7,000. And one of the questions, Tim, was, I know for a period of time at Public Works there was a problem with the computer.
The fuel dispenser.
You know, could they have been, is the $8,700 an accurate number going from July 1 till, Jessica, when was this?
So there were no charges on our fuel account in December.
Okay.
And then we got waxed in January. I only mentioned it in our meeting because it's $1,000.
Yep.
So whether that's accurate or not, he knows that we had a significant fuel purchase come up this year, separate from the cost of fuel for the truck.
Okay. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like it makes sense for us to put a $7,000 number on that line It seems more like should be 17,000. You know, hate to say it, but we'd rather budget rather than knowingly be under budget here. If that $8,700 is a real expense, as best as everybody can tell, you can't put $7,000 on that line.
Obviously, we don't want our calendar year to be over 352 calls a year. That's every day we're out on the road.
Yeah.
It's taxing on us, on the volunteers. It's very difficult to project what our call volume is going to be and how long it's going to be. One of the things that we don't know is what the fuel costs. It's a bulk purchase for every town asset. So, I mean, if we were able to bring that up a little bit, or if we keep it where we look back history-wise, we've only bumped it maybe $1,500 or $2,000.
Let me give you the history.
Yeah, thank you.
For
Thank you.
1920, the actual was $6,000. For 2021, it was $7,200.
Yep.
For 21-22, it was $8,200. So, you know, it's been going up a little bit every year, and now fuel prices are up.
Right.
So anything below 8,200 would be irrational.
Yeah.
Right.
And your call volume's going up. Right.
And we haven't even hit summer yet, so.
Well,
Well, it ends in June 30th.
Yeah.
this
But
is June,
still, for
but
3
it's still, it's,
July.
summer's in the budget that we're talking about.
Sure, but for 3 years, we've been over almost $3,000 a year consistently.
Yeah.
Say what?
We've budgeted $5,000 for 3 years in a row, and we're closer
correct.
to
Over every year.
$3,000 per
Yeah.
year, over consistently for 3 years. So, I think Andy's point is usually, you don't use it, let's budget realistically, and if we
Yeah.
don't use it, then we don't
You know,
use it.
We know you're not gonna go riding around in the trucks just to burn the fuel next
Right.
June. Got the money.
Right.
They're not the most comfortable vehicles.
I wouldn't think so.
They're stylish. I mean,
Yeah.
Town parades every day, the kids will love it.
Right.
if you look back in history, even when we were during COVID, we were trying to help out the town, give a little
Right.
smile to everybody.
Yeah.
We didn't even use a lot of fuel then. I think where we're at right now is just the economy.
Well, it's a combination of the prices up and you're running,
And you're, right.
We can bring that up. Number-wise, we were at 38% before we started this project in November timeframe. So we brought
38% budget increase.
budget increase. So we really worked our numbers to bring it down to that 14% that we're asking for now. We've just really took the electricity, the propane, the gasoline, and kind of left it, basically, I believe, alone.
Those are
I guess that's the best way to look at it.
Those are out of your
We don't
control.
know. But if we wanted to, maybe increase it a little bit and then see what happens this following year, it'll give us a baseline to know where we're.
Well, you know, it is what it is. If you go over the budget, we still have to pay it.
Right.
So putting a lower number on doesn't save us any money.
Right,
Not on things like fuel.
No, right. And
Nicole's
this,
been pretty good about letting us know, keep it on the line, and then be able to see where the increases are, so it's an accurate number. We can, going forward, bring that up if that's something that the consensus wants to see. That's not a problem.
I would recommend taking that fuel number to,
12?
I would go to 14 or 15.
Okay.
I don't know.
Why are you thinking that? I was thinking
They've
10.
spent,
I was thinking, well, they're requesting.
they spent
10.
$8,700.
And we have a
already.
third of the year to go.
Let's talk about that. Has there been a disproportionate use, or is it the cost of fuel that has jacked it up to 87?
We're not able to determine the number, what it costs per gallon. It was brought to our attention last week that there was a key fob issue, not knowing if it was truly our accuracy of our numbers going into what we feel was our usage. We have been increasing our training. A lot of our training is done in-house in Connecticut, in O-Line. The problem is we have to go to New Haven Fire School. We have to travel to Middletown. We had to go to Clinton this past week for training. We had to bring our trucks for the equipment. So there are increases for our travel, but it's just the training side to get everybody certified. It's a little bit different than when the state was doing stuff on the weekends for us. We can utilize their equipment. Now it's a Monday through Friday. Weekends for us, we have to travel with our trucks. So that's another increase.
So the apparatus obviously has odometers on it, so you know how many miles.
Yes.
Are there hour meters on them? So you should be able to
We
track.
can track it going
Do
forward.
you track that part?
software that we use internally for specifically a lot of things, but what it mainly encompasses is our truck check.
Yep.
And a hit item that's required for all of those for each of the trucks is the hours and the mileage. So we can certainly run our own reports and possibly cross-check those against what Edidon can make pull out of their system. No, I'm less concerned about the cross-checking and more concerned about getting us an accurate number.
Yeah, well, I think the hours would give us, that would correlate with the number of calls, sitting on the highway, sitting in Basra for an hour or two at the chicken coop fire. I mean, that, obviously the miles on a fire truck isn't everything, it's the amount of time that engine's running.
The hours.
That's really, if you, not to create work, but if you look at that for last year versus this year, then you can say, well, yeah, not only do we have all these calls, but our hours on our trucks are up 25%. So that's going to correlate to fuel consumed and everything else. So, you know, the bottom line is, I mean, I threw a number out there, but I'm not married to it. I don't want us to go over.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that the highest in the past axle was 8,200. I'm assuming that the year-to-date now is an anomaly. If it's not an anomaly, then you're right. Maybe 12,000.
Well, it continues to increase. I mean, we're not, from 2018 until 23, it's done nothing but go up. So I'm not sure I go as high as 14. Jess would know better.
Historically, a tricky line, specifically because a lot of our hours come during the winter months.
Okay.
And we
That's good to know.
generate our numbers in like October. So it's a tough one.
All right, so,
The last report we got from the poll was dated 2/3. So I'm showing a 37,1844 overage.
Already.
With a $5,000 budgeted number.
That's it.
So I mean, if we're at 12 or 13 right now, and we're only looking at maybe 6 to 8 more weeks. I mean, we can go up a couple $100. That might be a little more realistic than throwing a higher number and then not using it. If that's something that would coincide with thought process a little bit and kind of keep the numbers down, give us a little more capacity going forward.
The request is 10.
yep. No, the request is 7.
7.
Okay.
And that's $1,700 below what we've already spent.
That's right.
So,
No,
and it's
I-
below what was spent, last year and the year before. And that doesn't take into account the fact that fuel prices were up. They've come back down a little bit, but
I mean, but as you and
No.
BJ have both said,
I don't-
you know, if
Yeah.
you don't use it, you don't use it. That money
Right.
stays with the
Yeah.
town, and so it's better to overestimate slightly.
7 is
on
not
a
nearly
consumable
enough.
like that.
One thing that we didn't we didn't mention yet here tonight, at least, when the state decided to take that 25% fuel tax out for gasoline,
Yeah.
diesel never had
Right.
that opportunity.
Right.
And pretty much all our fleet, with the exception of the brush trucks, are diesel.
Mm.
So that increased, again, not...
Does the town pay sales tax?
Yeah.
No.
Fuel?
I'm not sure where that...
We don't pay tax on it.
No.
Okay, so that's good.
That would be-
Yeah. So, I mean,
And you think the fuel tax is exempt the way the sales tax is for nonprofits?
From municipalities.
well, no, municipals,
Municipal.
municipalities don't pay sales tax.
I know they don't
On-
pay sales tax, I'm just asking whether
On diesel, Tim said.
that is true, we don't pay any tax on the diesel?
No.
Okay.
No road tax, no.
Okay, good. That was one
Yeah,
thing that we
you don't
brought
know,
up
yeah.
as we
That
were
was-
kind of working over the weekend on numbers, so...
Yep.
But yeah, if we want to go up a little bit on that, to
Or, yeah.
make it a little bit more realistic to this year.
Why don't you keep going, and we'll come back up to that?
No problem.
Okay.
Presently, we're working on,
I mean, the next one was apparatus maintenance that,
yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
again, some of that work, I think you told us last week, that's been done. It's annual stuff that's been done. It's not like you're spending, or is there more to be done?
Right.
right now, on the wheels of the apparatus have been pretty much the same as past years. We're able to have our inspections done with the repairs if needed. We do have a relatively new fleet,
Yeah.
but when you look back, some of the trucks aren't that much new. They're 10 years old already. Eric does a great job on our chassis maintenance. Again, it's just the petroleum-based product that we need for the servicing of it has gone up. So as everything else in the world, that kind of didn't help us. But those numbers are coming down slowly, so it might be a good number to stay at with the 10,000.
Okay.
The SCBA maintenance. Our air packs are definitely getting a little bit older, around the 2007, 2008 time frame. We did take our SCBA platform we had and did an upgrade. We didn't purchase new. We bought the newer upgrade that's available to keep us entitled with the NFPA standards. And it's just using them more, training more. They're old. They're dependable. They're good. It's just maintenance values and cost of their units are a little bit more expensive because the packs are 20 years plus the additions. The upgrades, certain items are really old. Some of the stuff is somewhat newer. But there's going to be some conversation probably the next year about setting up a program to start changing the 39 air packs out that are going to be at the max now of life coming up. So there'll be future conversations of SCBA maintenance. So that purchase would help. It's not a great purchase, but it would take that number down in the maintenance value because the warranties have changed throughout the industry. Miscellaneous equipment and maintenance did go up a little bit to $2,000, which is 67%. Just as we use the equipment more, obviously things break.
Stuff breaks.
You know, we try not to abuse the equipment, but we're kind of not in a great business of being gentle sometimes. We've got a lot of,
You can't be.
we have a lot of classes that are happening, and we're training people, and the volunteer side of it's rising. So as we put a group of 7 or 8 through a course, and another group of 7 or 8 are going through a course again, and we're using equipment a lot more.
That sounds like
It's a good thing, though. It's a good thing, but it's a bad thing because unexpected repairs, so it brought that one line up just that little bit. Batteries went up. Obviously, that's just a consumable. We did find a facility out through the internet, and we did some pricing comparisons, and the place in Saybrook still was a lot cheaper. Portable batteries are on an increase. Motorola's got us. We can't find any other battery because it doesn't work well. So batteries that we can purchase through batteries distributors in Saybrook versus Amazon, we're doing fine, but it's the portable side.
Yeah.
We're taking a hit. But we are going to be updating our radios going forward through the state side, so those costs will come down. Just going to take a couple more calendar years. Bottled water really didn't change much. We're down on chemicals and foams, which is a good thing. We haven't had a use to make major purchases of the foam. We did have to replace all the foam about 2.5 years ago due to the PFAS, but we haven't used the foam, so we didn't need to really stock up on it. So it was a good thing. Negatives, we're down to ladder testing. We were a little short, I think, if the years passed, so we just brought that one up to meet the current standard of what the labor costs are. Those are the ground ladders and the aerial test itself to have the big ladder inspected. Hose testing. Hose was a big question that came up. That would be 33, 34, 33. We're down. I jumped too far ahead.
33 maybe?
Yeah, 33 for the hose testing, climbed a little bit. The price per length, they do come out to us. We try to utilize the middle school parking lot. They do a great job for us. It's just not much we can do. When they're traveling from Middletown or Jersey to meet us, we pay the travel costs, unfortunately. Air testing, it really didn't do too much. Extinguisher maintenance is down. The hydrostatic testing of cylinders has increased a tad. We did have some new purchases through the capital side, but every 5 years, DOT has a regulation. We have to test them again. So we just had a couple fall through cracks, but we're maintaining right now. There's a new software program that we're utilizing, so that doesn't happen going forward. Pump testing is pretty much, again, it jumped up $600, but that's, again, a facility out of Boston that comes out to us. It was the cost of them coming, and their cost is going up also. Really wasn't a lot to be able to cut with that. SCBA program, we were able to bring it down a little bit more realistic. Protective gear, which was a large increase. I do have the account manager here for our protective gear. Obviously, the ARPA fund helped us make a purchase here shortly. We had to be very responsible because in 10 years, that 25 sets of gear will come due again, and we're going to look for more money to make that purchase. So we slowly increased a little bit to maintain our projection we're doing now, and then also introduce the other funds coming in to help with the newer members, and then make it a little bit separated out so we're not buying $75,000 worth of gear every year. If there are some questions, James Chief is here that can answer them for you. Just a tidbit, when we started this project in November, December timeframe, there was already another cost increase of our current turnout gear provider, and it went up about $400 to $500 just recently. They're projecting another increase shortly. It's a textile. We've changed different vendors to try to get the gear costs down. We decided to ask going forward to have a couple different quotes just to make sure that they're doing their due diligence for us. We're making some large-scale purchases here shortly, and we want to make sure that when we say we're buying 20 sets, we want the best buy. Different if you're going to go out and buy a car.
How much is it per set?
It's like about $4,300 per firefighter, Chief? Yeah, that's the pants, the coat, boots, helmet, gloves, hood. It's definitely not cheap.
And I know it was a few years ago you told us they changed the regulations that you used to take maybe some of your turnout gear and the junior firefighters would start off with that, but you can't do that anymore. That stuff has to truly be retired.
Up until about 2 years ago, that was our practice. Yeah. We did get caught by the state of Connecticut. We did not get fined, but we had to scramble to get turnout gear for the class to pass the course. Yeah. It was a little nerve-wracking for our training division, but yes, you are absolutely correct. 10 years is 10 years. They don't allow wiggle room. So I get the safety aspect when the person's not eligible to volunteer. It was a fight that we were fighting, and we took it as far as we could. It's just we've lost now.
How's that laundry machine doing?
The laundry machine looks great with the dryer at Cross Lane. We did have to move the location from when we originally made the request. We were going to go with the Boughton Road Station, which is the newest station in town. The footprint was a lot larger than we expected. We did tape it out on the floor, and we have a combination station where EMS is also at Boughton Road, and it would have made their supply locker a little bit tight for them to get around into it. So we opted to utilize some space at Cross Lane, that we had a little bit more room. We've run into a snag with Cross Lane, and we mentioned it to Andy and Grubby. We need about $10,000 to upgrade an electrical panel to put the washer dryer online. There is another fun fact with this statement. The South End station actually operates and is the hub for all the Parks and Rec, the parking lot, the tennis courts, the whatever electricity that goes onto that complex comes out of our budget. We have 2 large-scale panels that need to be looked at rather fast also. The components are no longer available, and if the insurance carrier came in, they may look at it and want something done faster. Lieutenant Rands here can speak on that a little bit more on the manufacturer maybe of the panel.
I don't know how much we were really good into this. Federal specific breakers are what are in there, and I haven't implemented myself. Day job insurance and stuff like that.
So the washer and dryer are not being used?
At this present time, they're in the footprint. We've went out and got cost runs to have the panels updated. We weren't expecting to have the maintenance that we had to put in the cross lane physically happen. We were hoping to be able to utilize the money that would have been in the budget to put the panels in, but the ceiling drain clogs and the other items that came up throughout the calendar year took precedence. So it was a little nerve-wracking, so we were going to discuss that at some point.
The cost for the panel that needs to be replaced to get the washer and dryer up and running is about 10 grand.
10 grand.
And the cost to upgrade the other two panels that are out of date
It was about 42, Chief? 45.
45.
Is this in capital? Has this been
We
budgeted in
found,
capital, or you
no,
just
it's
found
not.
out?
We found out,
There was
I found out last Thursday.
We were trying to
Total
have,
of 55,000. The electrical panels at Cross Lane.
How much does this have to do with Park and Rec?
the sub panels as a whole, I'm not sure which panels they've tied into for the updates. We did catch wind that there was some potential upgrades possibly happening, or Parks and Recs that was thinking about, but we don't know what they're utilizing for their
It's basically for their
concession
concession stand.
Yeah, so it's
There's
not
not
much.
lights there.
I didn't think so.
It's not significant. I mean, it makes sense that you're not running a separate
couple Parks and
service,
Recs.
but
Okay.
that's not what's causing the deficiency in these
No.
panels.
The building was manufactured in 1982.
That's what I was going to say.
So it's our second oldest
40 years old.
station. And it really, up until the past 2 or 3 years, that's where the maintenance started really come into play.
So,
We had some janitorial issues, some kitchen issues.
so those are two capital things.
Right.
But I guess for the purpose of the board, it was a little disappointing to find out the washer and dryer that we purchased real quick last year haven't been used. They have have a deal with Lime, has been helping them out.
Right.
So the turnout gear is being washed and cared for as we had hoped it would be. But, you know,
It's been a busy, we started on this project, and we started finding out this past summer, and we were just trying to figure out the right time to bring it up. And
Budget
as we notice, the time goes by a lot faster these days.
yeah.
It's just a matter of trying to figure
So,
out.
and, you know, look, we understand you're a group of volunteers
Right.
who, your priority is not
Washing.
budget.
Yeah.
It's taking care of the residents of Old Lyme and surrounding towns.
And from a safety standpoint, Lyme has been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have relatively comparable systems there, the washer and dryer.
Yep.
We were just there last weekend.
Yeah, and I'm sure we would do the same for them if theirs were down or whatever.
A lot of cross members. But
So,
from a safety
yep.
standpoint, we are utilizing.
Yep, that's great.
power washing.
But, you know, it sounds like there's two issues. We have the short-term issue of the panel that's $10,000 that will allow the washer and dryer to get up and running. And then we've got a little bit longer-term issue of the $45,000 to get the other two panels upgraded that probably at this point shouldn't be ignored. Those are not in the capital request for next year.
We questioned the floor plan for the apparatus bays. That has been an ongoing project. Phil and I want to say Chief.
But you know what? I took us off on this tangent a little bit. Let's finish the operating
Right.
budget.
And then we'll
let's
come back to that.
Because the operating budget is.
There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to the.
Thank you
There's
for
gonna
the
be a lot of
explanation.
information.
Yeah, a lot of.
I mean, they're
a lot of
intertwined.
Yeah.
As Tim asked the question about the washer dryer, that kind of,
No worries. I just wanted
Sidetracked us.
to. I want to stay on track, but we're.
I know.
Okay,
We're almost at the
thanks
bottom.
for the background.
so
We'll talk about it.
Come back. We're not going to vote on capital tonight, but we do want to get as much information from you as we can.
So we're down to 41.
So we're protective gear for fire police. That really didn't really make a big jump. What has jumped up, and we made some 42, 43. We've had multiple line items in the past. We've basically designated the two now as water supply and fire attack. Water supply is anything from the So truck to truck or stagnant pond to the trucks for the volume of water we're going to need. Fire attack is what we drag to the house. Obviously, the fire attack is going to get beat up a little bit more of a drag, per se, but it's no different than the materials that are used for our turnout gear. It has to be a retardant.
I got a question on page 42. I guess this goes to Rob. On your calculation, I'm trying to figure out how that works into 7140. I can't make the math work between those figures.
Yeah.
Actually, Mike.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy, excuse me.
Deputy Chief McCarthy is
All
right.
There's a lot of versions of this, but it's awesome.
It's our, number 42 is going to be our water supply hose, the 5-inch.
Right, what is that?
If I go over to page 43 and do that calculation, those two items add up to the bottom number, 5,720.
Yep.
If I go to the calculation over here, you know, it's almost like $3,500 or something like that, and the bottom line is 7,140.
You're right.
Yes.
I don't know.
That looks like the calculation for last year's 3155, maybe?
That is
Yeah, maybe that calculation wasn't updated.
the exact amount.
I don't have a sheet to.
Yeah, it's last year's.
Yeah.
Yes, the next.
Yeah.
On both lines, the page 43 and 42, the sets of hose that, there's sets of hose that are coming out of service, but yes, my calculation on 42 is incorrect. The 7140 is correct.
Okay.
But
Okay, but not the calculation.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Thank you.
It's supply 3 and 5 inch.
With the supply line and our tack line, it falls under standard again. It's been only good for 20 years. Done. Questions did come up. Is there any way to repurpose it? We're going to look into that to see if there's a place and how to maybe have that work out for us. If we can find a spot, we just need a location to store it in the process. But that could be a good thing. But they're definitely looking into if it's able to be for lower value, but to save back into that line item. Masks were down. Small tools were up a little bit. Small tools is basically anything handheld. Axes. So it was just a calculation that I don't have that sheet with me, actually who's doing it, but anything handheld, non-gas power.
That was Mr. McCarthy here as well.
So that calculation increased, 2 big reasons. One, we're trying to finish the outfit of the battery-powered tools on the outlying engines, sawzalls, cutters, things like that. And also we're bringing a lot more of the mechanic side of things back into the firehouse. And we have to update some of our tools to provide mechanics to be able to do that work. So there's a chunk of money there to update the hand tools at Cross Lane for the mechanics and also the battery power.
Yes, sir.
This year for the extrication equipment?
Yeah.
Over like $6,100, that's an anomaly, and you guys got lots of breakage here to use it for?
Seems like a lot.
We had over the past year and a half, our hydraulic lines for our Jaws of Life, Hamacho tools, have a 10-year shelf life. We initially started the purchases years ago with twin line. I went to a solid line, and time flew by. We weren't told until the annual service was happening, and unfortunately we made the upgrade all at the same time. So we took the rigs that were always on the road, the heavy rescue, outfitted that one first, and then waited, and then we re-outfitted the second 2, 3, and 5 our engine rescues, to have that hose updated. So it was a large purchase, but we were able to make those in the past, but we just wanted to make sure that we had a little bit of a buffer with the extrication equipment going forward. We are on the highway a lot more, and breaks and repairs have been happening. Nicole has this year's past receipts. I believe we had a set of blades. We've had a seal rupture, one of our smaller pedal cutters. It was just something we've never had happen before, and they brought that up just a tad.
Will it be enough to cover?
We're going to go with baby steps, not knowing how bad it's going to be. We're thinking just a small little increase of $2,500 roughly, which will do it. The hoses themselves was a major run with some coupling repairs recently. We do have a maintenance side, a budget line item also, but if the maintenance side doesn't cover it, we wanted to have a little bit of a waiver, is what the thought process was. Down to 49, which is our marine tools and equipment with no increase. Prices have gone up. Online stuff was great, but we're noticing that to bring outside vendors in, just wasn't an increase. It was just part of the times. And then we were brought down a little bit on the materials side of things, because on online classes, you don't need to have books in front of you. It's already outlined with you. That's pretty much the major increases. I'm not quite sure if there's anything that stands out that we didn't discuss. We were able to just have a small 14% versus the 38%. I don't think we also like the fact that I had them go back to the drawing board, but knowing what else you're all going to be up against this calendar year, I figured you should share the increase across the board in a smaller fashion than getting it all out in one shot.
Well, the biggest thing we talked about is trying to give you money. Not take away money. The biggest discussion.
We saw under different past chief Rism's 5-year regime, he was trying to bring it down. So we had higher numbers at one point, and we brought it down, and we're starting to climb out of and get to an area that it's more, I'll use the word realistic. We're able not to show that there's a slush fund happening also. It's stuff that we're doing, and by having it an overage a little bit, shows that there's honesty.
Well, and obviously prices of a lot of things you buy have gone up significantly in the last 3 years.
Not only that, but we have an unprecedented amount of new members.
Yep, which is great.
In 2 years, we've had 14.
Wow. That's awesome. Congratulations. It's huge.
I'm sure the other volunteer departments around here are very jealous.
Yeah.
Some of them are line members.
It doesn't matter where they come from.
Right.
We'll take everybody.
Yeah. No, that's great.
It's just one of those.
Problem to have.
It's a good problem.
Unusual.
The departments that are calling us that are far away, they really
need you.
They're calling us almost on their tone, and we're getting there before departments that are on their normal responses. The help is always there these days. If you do listen to a scanner like some of the people in town do, Waterford's always in London, East Lyme's always in Waterford, vice versa. Old Lyme Ambulance is always in Sable.
Yep.
We do the best we can to help out each other. When someone dials 911, they want someone to show up. They don't care who shows up. You know, we found out recently that a lot of people think we're a career department. And we take a career department, or a paid versus volunteer. We take that as a very good compliment, because we try to give them that professionalism, but at a volunteer cost. We do the same volumes as New Haven does in Hartford. They do 5,000, we do 300, but it's the same training, the same trucks, the same hazards. But we do the best we can.
No, you do a great job.
Yeah.
I will say I did see your old hose tender on Sunday in the Norwich Parade. I don't know if it's used for things other than that, but it looked...
Is that
buzzer on it? Yep. I was going to take a picture of it, but I wasn't quick enough. They took off.
Ed Martin and the guys in Laurel Hill send us the photos when she's working.
Yeah.
They did go through some major repairs in the past year and a half. It was out of service for a little while. They couldn't get parts.
Yeah.
So
How long
it's great to
did
see.
you replace that?
That was
years ago?
2007, and it was purchased right
That's
after
50 years old?
right after
Close to what it looks like.
Old Lyme Shopping Center.
Okay.
When that fire happened in 1981, about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, that truck showed up, and our 54 ward that was downstairs was removed from service, and then that Ford went into service. So
It's still out there.
it's still kicking. She gets there a little bit slower, but when she's parked,
The hose on the back look
yeah,
good.
when she's parked, she does a great job. They really do like the asset, and it's great to see it that it's in operation.
I mean, I think the only, again, the change I would recommend is to
The fuel.
the fuel line.
I
And,
tend to
I don't
agree with
know,
you, and I'm sure Greg
Maybe
will
take it
as
from
well.
$7,000 to $13,000, up at $6,000. I don't know, Greg,
It's fine with me, you know.
which would bring the total to $246,694.
I have a question. The book that we were sent was 244. The sheet.
Well, this is
But this is more up to
more
date.
current, more accurate.
So 246,
We've been trying to keep our sheets updated.
Yeah.
694.
Right.
Great.
As we had meetings last week and this week, we were always trying to keep that data
Oh,
alive.
I trust this more right now. than-
Yeah.
If your numbers are probably a little bit.
What you do is appreciated, and it's helpful
I'm
to have the detail.
so impressed with the 14 new.
Our training division has really stepped up their program. We use our social media platform for education, and a lot of it, I think, with the fact that COVID hit, and we were starting to have signs up, and if you want to join, swing by on a Wednesday night, we really attracted some quality, good, young individuals. Our problem is they go to college and they don't come home. So
Eventually,
we
they'll
get
come back.
14, and then we lose maybe 6 or 7, and then we try to get another 10, and it's just it's a cycle.
Well, thank you.
It's definitely something that we work hard on.
What about on the staff?
I'd make a motion for the $246,694 for the operating budget for the
Is
fire.
there a second for that?
Second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No abstentions, no noise. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But we would, because they're here, we're not
You want
gonna,
to-
we're not doing capital yet, but we should take a look at
Yeah.
the capital requests, because there are some specialists here who have
Thank you.
some information. You know, if you look at the top of their sheet, they request for $14,000 for air bottles. That's kind of their standard.
Yes.
At this point, that's what's needed to replace those bottles, and that is on page 1 of the book.
Okay.
Portable radios, that's just an ongoing, replacing current radios, that's nothing to do with the upgrade that may be coming down the road. It's just replacing units for ongoing use, and those are the easy ones. And the 150, which is the amount we've been setting aside for replacement of the rescue, which that's slated for
I believe it's 24.
24.
Our committee will most likely start venturing out and looking at 3 to 4 different vendors, start collecting some data. Unfortunately, the apparatus industry that used to be a 210 or 180-day build from start has turned into 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
We don't know if this is going to be the norm going forward. We strive to have a 20-year plan, 25-year plan, depending on the specific piece of apparatus. Obviously, if it increases 3 years, it'll still fall on a 20-year cycle. It's just, we may start sooner as a committee.
Yeah.
But as we hear things, obviously, it's definitely.
Yeah. One of the questions we didn't have an answer to last week was how much is in the fund right now, and right now there's $587,000 in the apparatus fund.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you have any idea where the rescue would be.
Not to scare you,
Yeah.
Essex Fire Department has the same present rescue that we have in size and manufacturer out of Colorado. Their rescue was increased by about 4 feet in length, and the truck came in just over $1 million. So I think we are looking at a $700,000 possible for the rescue truck. We're thinking it may be short, which brings us to our ladder replacement in about 15 years, which we know is going to be drastically higher than the 850 we did 10 years ago.
I remember.
So we're gonna have to look at all the apparatus, relook at what's budgeted, but I guess, you know, we've got let's call it 600,000 sitting in there now.
It's just definitely a start.
That doesn't count the 150 for this year. That doesn't get put in there, Tim, until the end of the year, right?
I don't think it's been put in now.
So there's 150, then 150 next year, so there's $300,000. So that gets us...
We're up to that 750, possibly 8, but I think what I would like to do is...
We're closer to budgeted. I think we'll have $900,000 in sitting there in 2 years.
We're going to be smaller than 4 feet. We need to stay... Our rescue can't get any longer.
Yeah, it's got to fit in the house.
They don't make them any wider. What we can do, though, is what we did find out with the ladder truck, we can go up a little bit. So we were able to carry more of the hazmat pad stuff that are up there now, more compartment space.
Low-profile tires, or?
Fun fact, we can take the fire body itself and bring the compartments down a little bit to gain space. So there's a lot of new engineering that we've seen in the trades. I think just going forward, when it's not as busy as it is now, we have our truck committee maybe sit down with the Board of Finance and go over the 20-year plan.
Well,
to make sure
we'll
that...
have that meeting at the firehouse.
Yeah, make sure that we're on track with the industry standards and where they're going and cost, to make sure that we're not falling short on our dollar value, and we can bring the most recent stuff out.
So the next request on your capital is Marine 38 replacement. I don't know if Jared just briefly wants to give the full board just what that's about.
Good day, everybody. Let me start off by saying the electronics for Marine 38, the big boat, was put on there July 15th of last year. Thank you. They've come in handy multiple times. We've had several falls, as the chief had kind of mentioned, our fall volumes all stepped up. On the marine side alone, we had a 30% increase in our calls. But we had a call specifically right off Soundview where we had two 15-year-olds that went missing at right about dusk. And
I remember that.
last seen heading out towards Long Island on a 15-foot sunfish. No lights, winds are blowing out probably about 15 knots. And I was able to use those electronics and see the 4 different departments that I had coming in, 1 from the east and then 3 from the west. Thankfully, they were found at Old Colony. They had kind of come around Point of Wood, or Hatches Point there, and walked up and found us, basically, on Swan Ave. But it was nice to be able to see the electronics that we had put on the boat kind of come to fruition, and we had everything set up to the way that it was supposed to be. Like I touched on last year, you know, having taken this position, I kind of want to grow this so we have all the right tools and assets. The boating side of firefighting is unforgiving. You know, we don't have the ability to kind of just slow down and stop what we're doing. It's not like being on the side of the road, or, you know, you're out there and you need to have the right tools to do it. Currently, we have both of our Zodiacs, one at Cross Lane and one at Fountain Road, are 14.5 feet soft bottom Zodiacs. So those are our near coastal boats. You know, the big boat can't get into the rocky shores and stuff like that. So we tend to use those boats to ferry people in to get a faster egress, to get them medical care, just get them out. Otherwise, we have about a 25-minute ETA back to DEP. Problem is that, you know, the weather's anything short of 15 miles per hour, the wind, waves are standing up a little bit. That soft bottom Zodiac kind of folds up. It's not really safe for our guys, nor is it safe for the victims. They have a neck injury or C-spine compromise. The last thing I want is for them to be on a boat that's banging them around. The replacement boat is going to be a fiberglass hull with the rubber sponsons. It comes with a new motor, comes with a console, and it comes with a brand new trailer, brand new warranty. Our current Crosslane Zodiac will be 21 years old this year, and the motor is 2007. So, I would have liked to have done this, planned out a little bit further. Unfortunately, I wasn't in the position at the time, and it is what it is. So I'm trying to kind of get us into a replacement schedule, get newer equipment so that we can kind of have the right tools to do what we need to do. And there is still a value. I've talked with the vendor. He's more than willing to take consignment on that boat. Estimated about $3,000 to $4,000. It's not a guaranteed number, but ballpark, that's probably what the hull and motor would go for.
So the 38,000 is for the whole package, the
That
boat
is the
and
whole
the
package.
instruments and the engine?
Correct.
And is that 14 feet long or bigger?
It is 15 feet. It's about 6 inches bigger.
With a hard bottom?
With a hard bottom. Correct. Brand new trailer.
So total's 31,000,
Yeah,
BJ.
no, it's 38.
Not 38.
So I thought,
It's 31.
Yeah.
And that leaves them, they're putting about $4,000 in there for overages or miscellaneous or whatever, just because.
Safety and survival equipment, stuff,
Right.
The life rings, the life jackets on there are
Yep.
Yeah,
as old as a boat.
right.
So, like everything else in the fire service, that 10-year lifespan is pretty much
Yeah.
a good rule of thumb.
Do you find the calls for this increasing the way your other calls are?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
I think it's a 30% increase.
I think with the summertime being
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it could be a very inexpensive day for a family. They tend to go out and some indulge more than others and some just get in trouble more than others. But we have seen our responses to the Rocky Neck, Point of Woods area a little more often these days.
There's been a statewide ripple effect.
Yeah.
of COVID.
Has there? I bet.
And, everybody was looking to spend their leisure time.
On the water.
And boating was the social distancing that they could do.
Makes sense.
The state of Connecticut, I talked to the captain for DEP last year. Shortly after, I talked to him the day of the Portland accident when those 2 people died. The state had, halfway through the year, almost double the amount of fatalities that they had the previous year.
Great.
It's just the cold hard fact. It's just a reality.
It is.
Our mutual aid responses is uptick. Our call volume inside the town limits has gone up. It's just the way it's going to be for a while.
Jared, what's the age of the other one?
So the one at Fountain Road.
You said there's 2 Zodiacs?
Yeah.
So the one down at Cross Lane is 20 years old. He's 21 years old this year.
That's 38?
That's 38-1.
20 years.
And 38-2 is 17 years old.
So it's not far behind.
Few years.
It's not, and Andy and Grovey and I and the rest of the officers kind of talked about it last week. Obviously not this year, but next year I'll probably write something up to plan a little further out for a replacement schedule. I don't know what platform I necessarily want to go with yet, but, I'd rather.
But that one tends to be used more on Rogers Lake.
Yeah, that is
That's,
primarily.
that would be a secondary boat or third
Right,
to
correct.
go on river or the
That
Sound.
boat would not be out in the Sound.
Right.
Just, it's
So,
a smaller motor.
but much different use
Yes.
than,
Much
It's
stronger.
got to be able to go on ice.
right.
That was our, we tend to get very savvy when it comes to ice rescues. We acquire canoes or if there was a stand-up style paddleboard
Yep.
on the shore, we've used that. Plus we have our own ice
Any
lanes.
competitive
But
pricing?
the Zodiacs themselves, if it's questionable, we get out there without damaging the vessel. We're not afraid to deploy it, but
So
there are some
it's
different options that
turnkey package.
going forward, we've seen our past calls years ago, we can maybe update something a little bit different for the Rogers Lakes
I was going
aspect.
to say it's
Year-round, that's
a whole different package than the Sound.
that's a whole different animal with the lakes versus the
We're going
Sound.
with.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, Connecticut River along the Sound is, we're almost covered on 3 sides, with Rogers Lake being,
Yep.
the north side, so we're just kind of
But the response.
slowly looking at it.
Again, firefighter family.
Well, yeah. There's one more item that,
Yeah.
and then,
They're on a mutual call.
so we want to talk
We
about
want
the
to
box
keep moving
lights?
on the box lights.
The box lights? John?
Thank you.
Rescue,
We did,
Did you bring a sample?
that
You
and
brought show and tell?
Yep, what is a
John?
box light?
You're gonna find out.
Okay.
well, yeah, if there's been
in the rationale, there was to purchase, I
Going
think,
to give us a presentation on the last item on capital, which is the box light.
John will do the presentation.
Like the shark.
We did a little bit.
No, we don't have we couldn't get the demo one in time, but, Chief, you can throw them on the table or whatnot for me. Don't blind them.
Put my sunglasses on, and now I'm like, whew.
So what Chief Super has on the, I'm going to put this on here too. One of the things that Lieutenant Flagg just brought to the table is a lot of his experience coming into the department. So we like to do our homework, and give the town the best information for our requests and things like that. So one of the things that we needed to do is talk about some of our box lights. So there's actually some fancy word for the firefighter flashlight. We have flashlights that are the older, but very old, orange style there, a halogen, and then it's a newer body style facing out, also a halogen light. These lights get used just about every call, crash, fire, any investigation where we gotta go, anytime it's dark. And they get beat up and they get heavy and they run out of battery time because they're older style rechargeable batteries. I don't know if you guys have the narrative.
Yeah, it's in
We
the
do,
page-
reading it.
Page 5.
So, what the request is for 40 flashlights to replace everything that's in the department. So every fire apparatus and the backup ones that we keep in the stations will be able to get replaced with a flashlight that is much brighter, much lighter. You have your body style in the truck, right?
Yeah.
All right. We have a similar body style for the smaller one that I'm requesting that we're pulling off of the chief's vehicle to give you an example. So the LED lights, as everybody knows right now, they're a lot brighter, they're a lot lighter, they use a lot less electricity. And as you sit there with your fire gear on, you sit there with your air pack on, even if you're doing traffic trying to make sure you don't get hit, things like that, they tend to wear on you. They bump into things. The smaller lights get into smaller areas as we're carrying everything inside to a fire or whatever we have. It's just easy. Thanks, sir. So this is a single LED light. Hopefully it will help you. And the housing style is the same, but the LED itself will have 3 in there. So if you want to use them, play them, hold them, stand around with them for a while, you'll
Check
see
out
what
the
I'm
weight
talking about.
difference.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
The amount of effort.
Just to stop you for a second.
Are we just gonna grab one?
Over the years, we've always tried to keep items to be almost, interchangeable. The charger bases that are on the walls are all identical.
Yeah.
So from this 24-year-old light, the charger port is the same location.
Wow.
This is a relatively newer light, same location. The lights of today now are completely different, but you can feel the difference of the 23-year-old light versus a 15-year-old light to almost a 10-year-old light.
Well,
To give it, so I'm the captain of the Lime Street Station over here.
pass this around.
It's going to be hard to see, and I can share it with you if you guys want. But this would be an inventory of all the lights that we have there. I'll show it to you. You'll have to be our spokesman. But
That's what I want to see.
26 different lights, and anything with a link over here
Get a workout with that one.
means it's broken, damaged, or
That one.
it intermittently functions.
Heavier ones, yeah.
So
I mean,
approximately
you
30%
can lift
of the
it,
light
but for any
in
length
there,
of time,
so it
that's
could be
super
anywhere.
heavy.
Yeah.
No, it's like you have a workout.
Yeah, so it's, and you have a little bit of less total light at the outside station, because there's only 2 main apparatus, plus the forestries, so obviously you have a little bit less, so that's why we have so much more. Yeah.
So
No. All right, 41 new lights.
Okay.
It still works.
It still works.
40 of those. Wow.
Yeah, the safety aspects of
Yeah.
the newer light, what was saw was as
Yeah,
we're walking
nice.
on the highway,
Yep.
this also gives some extra stability. A lot of the standards have changed. Obviously, you can see we look like a bunch of minions walking around.
Yeah.
It's just a standard of reflective gear that we have to have these days.
I don't think anyone else
When we're on the highway, that jacket is suitable to be worn.
Yeah.
And our turnout coats and our pants, with added everything else, we're putting on about 75 to 80
I was
pounds
just gonna say the same thing.
of gear.
We add it all together, 4 pounds, 3 pounds down
It
the block.
it doesn't seem like a lot, but
Time,
over 3 hours at a fire, you're tired. Not only your exertion of trying to mitigate the problem or help out the individual in a car accident, whatever, the stuff that we have to carry.
And those are available?
Yeah.
yeah, so when I
$120 a piece,
Yeah.
you two can have one.
when I started this,
It might be a Christmas present.
we talked about this at a few office meetings, and we
Yeah, I'm
started the
serious.
project, and then, I requested the quote to our vendor, 2 different vendors, basically telling them if this gets approved, we're not gonna purchase till July, when the funds come in, so I need you to project what you feel the costs are gonna be. So this should be pretty accurate of July 1, 2023. Second. And to put those into place. So, similar results to what you see here at the Lime Street Station in terms of either damage or intermittent buttons or function is what you're finding at the Cross Lane and the Boughton Road Fire Station.
Thank you.
Great, thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right.
So, one other item we talked about, nothing to do with lights, last week, was the Cross Lane floor,
Yes.
Okay.
Cross Lane being
which is an ongoing,
our oldest, second oldest station, but it's starting to show its age. Obviously, the Lime Street Station was built in the 60s. Cross Lane was the addition, or a new station for South End in 81. It was built, I'm not 100% if it was wetlands 100%, but the building is starting to show its age. The floor is settling, a lot of crack seams in the apparatus bay. The floor itself is engineered to the weight of the vehicles. The vehicle weights really haven't changed much. It's just, I think, the fact that over time and settling purposes, the cracks are definitely starting to show. We don't know if there was the overruns that were happening in 81, maybe they skimped on areas. We don't know the contractor, but the engineering firm that came in and said, you need to do this to make it to this, the pricing came in, I think, tripled than what we had projected. I think 40,000, 60,000 was a number that Phil had, and numbers were coming in to the high 280,000 to low 300,000s, and that was 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and it's only getting pushed and pushed. We noticed that there's a section of the corner of the building. It appears to be settling a little bit. We don't know if it's a structural issue yet, but it was just things that we've brought to Tim, attention to see where we can go with it, and at the same time, we brought up the electrical panels. And if we didn't purchase the washer and dryer and have come to heart with trying to keep the peace with space at Boughton Road, we never would have known that there was a problem with the panels and the building power coming in. So it's kind of a good thing it happened, but it's a bad thing because of timing.
It is 40 years old, 42. The structure, 81.
Yeah, we've been putting a lot of money, piping behind the walls. The ceiling was replaced.
yeah,
We had
the boilers.
boilers for the kitchen remodel last year. I know there was a request for a stove replacement this calendar year. We asked the EMS side if they can kind of maybe push that off a little bit due to the higher priorities of what's more important, safety with the floor and the fact that we need to get the electrical taken care of. The stove we have presently does work. It's a Viking stove like we have at the Lime Street Station. It's not used enough to where I use the analogy of if you have electric baseboard heat and your first time you use it, the dust and debris that's on it, you turn on the first time, you get that scent and it kind of dissipates. Well, I think that's what happens, and they get scared, which is fine. I'd rather them not to operate something and not have it go bad. But
How old's the Viking stove?
oh, they're probably 25, 30 years old. Tom, Mike, do you have a projected year on those stoves? We had, the fire department was able to get that stove. It was a twin to the one at Lime Street. 35 years. They're a pilot version,
I have
not
one.
a electronic where you just push it in, it clicks on the nights. So I think it's a little bit of they're timid by it, but it operates.
Well, it sounds like maybe we have some other things to address.
It's a higher,
Well,
Higher
we
floor.
don't have
We need to
we don't
talk
really
about
have a price on the floor.
no.
Right,
Tim,
and the electric.
we don't, well, the electrical, we might have some estimates, but we don't have a price on the floor, which has been a topic of discussion for quite some time. I know Phil was down there.
Tom was down there recently with an engineer. They were gonna look to see where the sump is and the forward bay center, to see where the piping goes into the engineer's room by our ice machine. It's just, I don't think the numbers are accurate yet, but Tom has been working on it.
But we should
I
get
think there
a
needs to
professional,
be,
definitive engineering analysis of what, first,
especially
what it
for
needs,
the floor.
and then
Exactly.
the cost.
Yeah. Well, is this the same money that we spent for the floor drain? Is that part of it?
That's the same line item that we've kind of haven't used yet. I think there was 28 or 30, below $50,000 that was set aside, and it was not enough. Back in the day, Phil and Todd Macknick was an engineering firm to do some cost runs, and he says, you don't have enough money, and I think it kind of was, all right, we'll look at it next year, and they kind of were looking to see where they're at with their building monies, and it just never really came to light yet. But we definitely, now that it's left aside, we wanted to make sure that we address both concerns before we have a trip hazard or the floor gets in a position where it's really bad, it's going to need to be 100% replaced versus just the center floor where the drain system is.
I don't think that money was carried over, Tim, that 25,000. I'm not seeing it in our carryovers, unfortunately.
I think,
But you can check the building funds too, to see if possibly.
It's 22.
I know we have that tonight.
the carryover line would be 213.
Oh, it was carried over, yep. We still have it in carryover. We have the 25 in carryover.
$25,000.
Yep, I'm just looking to see what year.
Improvement fund number 4, which is probably not dedicated to any one building.
Well, I mean, it's good that we have the 25,000, but that doesn't sound like it's anywhere near what's going to be needed. And my gut would tell me we're probably not going to have a good number for the budget cycle. That this may have to be an additional appropriation this summer or something, once we have good information.
Yeah, I haven't talked to...
Rob, have you talked to Tom at all? Tom Meyer was there a few months ago with an engineer and said he may get a number this
Okay, all right,
but we haven't heard from Tom.
all right.
Yeah,
Yesterday, we learned from Senator Murphy's aide that we were put in for congressional direct spending. One of the things is public buildings, not town halls, but any other public buildings for renovations and new construction. So it's very possible this would fall under that. The only problem is we need to get some type of a number in by March 19th.
So,
Fast and furious.
10 days. Yep.
Electrical panels.
Would the electrical panels fit into
I
that?
ran out to get it, so I thought I had my stuff in my bag, but I don't. He went out to the car to see if it is there. But we also gave it to the senior center. Also, it's a 55% match.
Okay.
So it's good money if we can get it.
No.
And Murphy has more of a chance because the Senate is more working together more.
So, is that something we can press Tom
Right.
to whatever engineer was out?
Really, it's all hands on deck effort.
So would Tom work with the Board of Selectmen to submit
Well, I
this
guess we have,
request?
if the electrical stuff's scoped out, that might be more shovel-ready than
But
before.
try not to miss out on any more.
Right, it sounds like
Get as much as we can.
You got the 10 grand for the washing machines, and you got another 45 for the panel.
Right.
So that's
Right,
Yeah, but you might have another 50 or 60 or more for the floor. I
exactly.
mean, you might be talking $100,000.
I don't think the floor is gonna be that cheap.
No, you had indicated six figures.
I believe it was the $250,000 to $350,000 number that was discussed a couple of years back.
Well,
And it was a number that was like,
But
okay,
if-
we're gonna reevaluate this and look back at a different date.
If we can get half that covered by,
if we can submit the
So,
request even.
I guess soliciting the fire department's help on as an electrician, look at the panels.
To get this thing together, I don't think you're gonna have
In writing, for the little panel number
Yep.
two, the 10,000.
Right.
That is in writing.
Yep.
The
10-6.
the two big panels that power the rest of the building in Park and Rec, we do not have it in writing. It was a verbal quote that Mike Sweeney Electric gave to Tom.
Can we get that in writing quickly and,
I can ask him.
yeah,
So the only question on this that came up today is that in doing some things, there is a possibility that we are over income, but,
Surprise,
the
surprise.
people that brought this to our attention do not think that's the case with the congressional direct, it's only with the rural grant. So even though it states rural, they don't think we have to meet that. But we're looking into it, I think.
it doesn't cost anything to put in for it.
Right,
I think.
First thing they say is no.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
See what we have to do.
I mean, there are both items that we need to do, and we need to get a price tag on no matter what.
So it's gonna be all hands on deck this weekend.
Okay. Well, Mike, whatever you can do to get Swaney to
Yeah, I can.
give us a written quote on the other two panels.
Yeah, but I can absolutely make that happen. The floor stuff, you'd have to
Yeah.
have Tom have it.
Yep.
We get Tom involved and see where we're at with it. The operational side is more my portion of the budget. Rob takes care of a lot of the building stuff. Between Rob and I, we can definitely make some phone calls to see where we can go with it.
We good?
Any other,
Any other
I mean,
discussion on fire?
we talked last week that it'd be helpful to have a meeting, as Steve said, out of budget season, we can look at the broader scope, mainly on the capital side, because obviously there's a lot of money tied up there for good reason. And to try to plan that out, I mean, these trucks are almost like buildings.
We haven't reviewed our capital probably in 20 years.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this was set forth 4 fire chiefs ago, where if we just look at the present time and see where we're at, it just may help us plan out 25 years from now.
Yeah, and we've done a good job with the trucks, but it's looking at the other, you got 3 buildings, and you got small boats and things like that.
The
So,
building side of it's definitely, Lime Street's been great. We've been doing some remodels upstairs. We've had some plumbing issues that we were able to tackle fast within the budget, which were no overruns. But Cross Lane seems to be our building of choice, with a couple trinkets at Fountain Road, but nothing that, again, our lines from here haven't.
Tim, it sounds like perhaps there needs to be a meeting with Tom and a couple of people from Board of Finance and Fire on capital?
We would love.
Not during budget season?
yeah.
We can get through all this.
I think we gotta put the
Finish
part of
this
the fun,
first.
put the fires out.
When you're take a break after this crazy season of getting ready, if we're looking at it towards, end of July, August timeframe.
Okay.
We're open for anything. We really want to keep that communication going. It is a big year for us. It's our 100th. During the summertime, we'll set some time. We just plan for it. That's great.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for everything you
Thank
do,
you
guys
all.
and gals. The big one. Okay, we have Lime Youth Service Bureau up, and that's Kim.
Yep, so Catherine and I reached out to Mary Seidner at the LYSB. Their request for this year is not changing from last year. So it's a request. I think that they're familiar with different services that LYSB provides, and
Make a motion for the $99,000 for LSB.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.
I did.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm here.
And that amount was 99,000. Okay, let me get my,
Thanks, Mike.
instead of flipping back and forth. Next on the agenda is animal control. Kim, do you want to
Sure.
discuss that?
Yeah, so Jude and I met with Lynn.
Thanks.
You know, I think
Thank you.
similar to what we discussed last year, animal control really runs on a lean budget for what they do. Lynn does a lot of work to get care for the animals covered at reduced or no cost where she can. She receives donations from various organizations for food and supplies for the animals, and really just keeps things running on a tight budget.
The heading's at the top of one page, and it's
Yeah,
page
exactly.
205.
Under public safety.
I kept flipping, looking.
And I think mine moved because I put it out.
Okay.
The one line that did change some is the, yeah, great, thank you, is the maintenance line. And I did reach out to Tom because Lynn said that was increased at Tom's request. And he said that's mainly to account for inflation, not due to any specific projects he foresees. Other than that, most of her budget is fairly unchanged.
What's the deal with no, it's about the washing machine today, or the dryer?
It's installed, everything's great, and it's running.
Okay.
Perfect. Everybody's happy.
Yep.
And the amount for her budget is 83,504, which includes a change in salaries.
The assistant budget?
Actually, a lot
Air
of...
conditioning, right?
No.
That's under that.
That's under capital.
Yeah.
Right now, everything seems to be stable. That's the important. Do I hear a motion for the 83,504?
Garvin.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Fire services, that's done. General government. I see Kelsey came on that, and Kim.
Yep. So Dave and I just touched base on this,
And that's 201.
And Kim, I don't know, did Dave reach out to you at all, or I think you figured you just us at the meeting here? So I just had a couple things. For example, the legal line, the last report I have from Nicole from the end of January, we're 87% spent on that for this year. And with various issues floating out there, I wonder if 60,000 is enough there, or if it would be prudent to just put a little bit more into that budget.
It's hard to say, it doesn't look too happy right now, but,
What did you say the year-to-date is?
So as of the end of January, we were 87% spent.
So I'm looking, I'm looking at the wrong thing, legal counsel under Selectman's office?
Yeah.
So in the book, okay.
That's
the end of
that's from November.
It was 31, and then as of the end of what month?
January.
So for 2 months, you spent $50,000 or $40,000?
No, it's at 87%
Oh, I see.
spent, sorry.
Right.
And what's the dollar? Do you have the dollar
Matt
amount?
just gave us a dollar amount, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Out of 55.
Okay.
Tim, do you see many more new lawsuits on the horizon?
whether they will, I think probably next year, some of the stuff will go into next year, whether it will, when you look back, we've had, moderate spending, but it just seems it's been perfect storms lately. So it's sort of a placeholder. It's hard to be specific as to what it's going to be. I think we budgeted 60 a few times and dropped it a bit and it went back up. So, worst case, we have to add some money to it. It's hard to pinpoint it. If we can get some things resolved, then maybe the rest of the year is going to be clearer sailing. But we had the Tanamahague Road, which we'll know pretty soon where that's going. And then various labor things have been very difficult.
Do you feel comfortable with the 60 for next year?
I'd say it's a reasonable number for next year. If it isn't, then we'll just have to deal with it. I mean, it's hard to predict.
So 21-22 was an exceptional year, 124. Remind me do you remember what spiked it up?
The what now?
A year ago, 22, the actual expenditure was 120.
Well, we had I think 4 investigations, and there was
police officers maybe
some union contract work. And then Tanamahague was there. It was kind of an extraordinary time.
60 seems thin to me, though.
I think, based on what's going on in town, that it should be more. There seems to be a lot of things up in the air. I don't know. 80? Well, the 2 other selectmen in the audience, any input?
Certainly, it's not a crapshoot, but really, we don't know how far things are going to go.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
We had 2 or 3 police officers that needed attention in that time frame. And
Martha, it looks like you want to say something.
Sometimes, remember we have an election, we could have new administration, sometimes people hold on something until we tear it down, but I think we should be looking at the history. I think 80.
I do too.
I'm checking on 75 or 80 and then,
What do you think you were into the project so long?
And it's not just one lawyer.
Put it up 10 grand.
Right.
Human resources lawyers as well. So there's 2 and 2 lawyers.
Well, if we increase it slightly and we go over, we're just going to have to come up with the funding down the road, so.
Yep.
During the referendum, didn't we have lawyer fighting lawyer on a referendum?
Yeah.
So we had lawyers fighting lawyers, and we're paying them both. Perfect.
And the school had lawyers.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fighting ourselves.
I think we built a school for ours, I hope.
So what if we kind of went middle of the road and put it to 70?
Fine.
Okay. So that'll change. We're not there yet. We're not there yet, yeah.
What else?
What else do you have?
I mean, I guess the question I have is the Soundview Gateway.
That's my
45,000.
biggest. What is that?
Is that? Okay.
So we took history from Hall Road, and they said that their first year, that was about it. We don't intend to spend it all, but 10,000 is that is legal, 35% of it is engineering. But if you want to reduce it,
I guess I don't know what the Soundview Gateway.
It's a committee, right?
It's really the shoreline gateway, it's not Soundview. It's shoreline gateway, somebody put that incorrectly in there. It is the area, we are looking at the area, the subcommittee can review the area from South Station and all the way down to Greenhouse. And we had a meeting in February with zoning, Paul Ardell, Carol Thompson, Thompson, there's a lot of, on the north side of 156, there's a lot of commercial, anything from a C10 to a C30. And there's also some mixed residential in there as well. Eric has some ideas that Westbrook has done some unique changes in zoning, and from what they saw in Westbrook, brought those over, thinking utilize the area in a better way, and also looking at lights. We did a survey, we paid for part of it, lighting also paid for some of it, it's about $1,500. We did a survey, before we came results onto our website soon. People are concerned. 1,200 people answered the survey in town, and they were not all seasonal residents. Those were people that live there and are concerned that we are missing the boat in that area.
I'm a little confused, and maybe my memory isn't accurate. A few years ago, didn't he fund some studies, or there was money available for the EDC to do a multi-phase study of what was needed for the town, not just the Sound View or that end of town?
Bigger deal.
So this is a bigger deal?
No, that was.
That was a bigger deal.
Yeah,
but
EDC one was larger scope.
Okay.
It was also,
Is this coming under that? I mean, what became of that other than the
I guess
Halls Road?
it's going to be a tough budget year, so we'll probably have to go back over stuff and look at it. So, I mean, there's some enthusiasm as to whether we hire another engineer and go through like Halls Road did, principally a master plan idea, and then see what happens. But we'll have to make some tough choices here, I think.
I guess where I'm confused is I thought the master plan was supposed to include the town, not just a segment each time.
Halls Road was
I think the study you're referring to, the state, the quasi-state agency did,
No, it was for the town.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was an inquiry into the general business climate.
Maybe that's what it was,
The business climate and what the town could use.
Right.
And I would assume that the Sound View gateway, whatever you call it, would take that data and other stuff and say, okay, so how can we implement the recommendations?
Right.
How can we make changes in this geographical area that will improve the, residential and economic business environment?
Because that was partially funded by the town, I think.
Right, it was.
And partially state funds.
Exactly.
I remember that we had the focus groups in this room.
Exactly.
And that was, a survey was done of townspeople then, and the return rate was huge as well. You'd hate to see something that was done 4 years ago be done over for a smaller area where hopefully...
I think what Tim said is this is more likely to... for the beginning of the generation of a master plan, defining master plan loosely to mean, okay, now what do we want to do?
Yeah.
I guess so we're talking about multiple master plans within the same town.
Well, the master plan on Halls Road is just for Halls Road.
That's what
I'm saying originally the master plan was supposed to be a master plan for the town.
I don't remember that.
Which would go Rogers Lake Business Area, Halls Road, and the beach community.
Richards Hill.
Right. So to call this a master plan is just confusing to me.
It's not I'm not calling it a master plan. I'm not calling what we're doing a master plan. We are trying to look at the zoning regs in that area and to talk to the business owners that are there. Some of them have undeveloped land to see what's preventing them. They've had some people that have issues with zoning, trying to get something passed through. We're just trying to study at this point. I'm not talking about knocking anything down or anything else, right?
No, it seems like a lot to go from what was it before?
1,000.
1,000 to 45,000 in one leap.
Well, 1,000, we remember we didn't start this committee until January or February of this year.
I guess what I'm saying, to go from 0 to 45,000 is a big request. That's all.
But my guess, I was obviously involved in the Hall Road thing.
Right.
My experience is that the committee has met and is thinking about what to do, and at some point, it's going to want to hire one or more consultants.
Got it.
And at that point in time, it's going to need money.
Of course.
Now, where the 45,000 came from, I don't know. Has the committee thought about what kind of consultants it might want and what the expenses might be? Or is the 45,000 just sort of just a number?
Placeholder.
It's basically engineering and legal, and it's a placeholder for that amount. Like I said, we do not intend to most likely spend it, but we didn't understand where the legal would come in. After talking with some of the other groups that have had legal issues for zoning and planning, the prices range. They sort of flow all over the place. Like I said, we don't want to come back to you in the middle of the year. So we were trying to be,
But some thought has gone into it. It just isn't a number that just pulled from thin air.
but if you feel that you'd like to reduce it, we'll do with what we can.
Okay.
But my own view is that it's a great idea.
Oh, of course it
In
is.
other words, it's to call it a blighted neighborhood is a little unfair, but it's a part of the line that could certainly
use some attention.
use some attention. And I therefore would support having $45,000 or whatever the number is available for the careful retention of good consultants, not frivolous, but if we can keep some inertia going and make some significant progress in figuring out what to do, it would be money well invested, in my view.
We've also worked with Bill Holland to be fine. He's come to talk to the group, talk to them about their development, and things that they did. Not, like I said, in the beginning stages, chances are we wouldn't really begin spending until late of 24. But we're trying to.
You can speak.
Okay, so I guess I'm just curious to know, you mentioned that other groups said that the legal's around 10,000, and it definitely is a range, or it can vary. Do you have to start defending that right away? I think you may have just answered that in the last sentence, is that sometimes the legal stuff doesn't come in until later. Okay, that's just interesting, or maybe that is a point we should consider.
We don't have any intention, at this point in time, there's nothing on our list that's going to cost you money. It's going to cost the town money at the present time. Our next step, we're going to write things to Harold, we're going to write a mission statement, and we are going to process our data, and the other thing on our agenda now
I
was...
think it was just taking the information from the last meeting and deciding what path you want to take. You want to change the zoning regs, you want to do a district, you want to... That stuff is pretty good for legal.
Does the committee have an idea to get the property owners on the north side together and talk with them? Because just like Halls Road, it's property owned privately for the most part.
I put together an entire spreadsheet of...
Because if the people who have houses or other things say, it's going to be tough.
Right.
We're taking baby steps on this, but when it happens, I just didn't, I felt bad that we had to go to Tim for the money that he had provided, $1,000 for the survey, because EDC only had about $500 for us to use. So they chipped in because some of the information helped EDC make some decisions as well. But, like I said, we want to cut it, we'll work with what you give us.
Any suggestions?
And the rule is, right, so it's 20,000, you want, assuming you like 25 or 30,000, that's for the public hearing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Over 20.
Yep. So we just didn't want to do that in the middle of the year.
Okay. Any other feelings on adjusting that amount or keeping it the same? Any discussion?
I'm fine with it as is.
Would it, and I know you may need more, but looking at the timing, that not a lot has happened, if we put it at $20,000, would that, do you think, and I know you don't know necessarily, be enough to get far enough down the road to have more of a, this is what we think we're looking at? It's not going to have a plan, obviously, but this is what it's going to cost us to get to the next step?
Well, but this is, we're talking about next fiscal year, right?
Yeah.
So
No,
that's
well,
six-
talking about,
16 months from now.
Starting in July.
no, I'm talking about the next, within the next 16 months.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
You know, what's needed to happen between now and June 30th, 2024.
And I'm just saying that's a reasonably long time, and I would hope the committee can make significant progress in that 16 months.
Well,
I say 25, if you're going to cut, then I go 25 to 25. Because 10 for legal, 15 for engineering as a startup.
Even if it's 30, it's not
it's
45.
still, I mean, 45 is
30, I think, since the legal thing,
Mhm.
it doesn't hit for
Yeah.
a while.
Right, but at least if it's some, and we come back for more, and, when we need 20 more, then that's something you guys.
Right.
Right.
If we leave it at 30, then we could always get you to 45 if you needed it.
Correct.
Between now and June.
Let's do that.
okay.
What are we doing?
30
So put it at 30, which
lowers it to
subtract by 15,000.
For that one.
352, 618.
352, 618.
Did you add the 10 to the, I have 362, 618.
No, forgot
okay.
about the 10.
So did I.
So 362,
Thanks.
618.
Got it. I hear a motion for 362, 618.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All in, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, town clerk.
We, I know
Human resources, right?
HR
But
is
it's
not
not
on
on
the
the
sheet, but
agenda.
it's,
You
well,
want to discuss
I'll
it?
make a motion to add, it's
Can
in
we
the
add
same
it?
category. Yeah.
Okay.
Human resources.
We move on to human resources. I don't think we have any actuals on that, do we, Tim? I mean,
I think, let me see here.
any discussions?
I mean, it's shifting money really from the selectmen's budget
There was,
that was budgeted originally.
Was
This
it
year,
budgeted?
the 20,000
Oh, okay.
was budgeted
Yep.
here,
Down to here.
but that was what we did a year ago.
Right.
So hasn't this compared to what we were going to pay the young lady who we're not paying?
I think these were the numbers, weren't they?
well, on the sheet here,
Sheet.
it's 201-0015,
Yep.
human resource. This was put in as 30 hours. There's a debate as to whether we need a full-time initially or not. Obviously, somebody who, is not retired or something would probably want benefits, so it might be more difficult to get somebody who would work part-time. This is full-time, actually, and the rest of the budget is pretty modest.
You think that the 55-9 contemplates a full-time position?
Yes.
Budget of $1,560.
Mm-hmm.
At $35.88.
Okay. So that was,
So we had somebody briefly, and the person we did not think was working out as well as we had hoped, so we got to go back to the well. So it would be helpful to have somebody in this capacity.
So census was based on that person's salary.
Right.
Do we have information that this this is a salary that's going to get someone of the quality that we're looking for?
Randy Frank has this position in her study for us.
At what number?
She's doing the study now to see if we're in the ballpark.
We don't have any data supporting this number.
No?
We have one example of a woman who accepted this number. Does this include benefits of 55.9?
No, benefits show up elsewhere.
That would show up elsewhere?
She started out at 25 hours, but...
Sorry?
She started out at 25 hours, which is less than full-time.
At this rate?
At the hourly rate.
Less dollars.
Right.
Let's go.
This is the full-time rate, the 55.
30 hours a week.
So my knee-jerk would be to put in at least this much.
Right.
I want to have plenty of money in the budget so we can hire a good person.
Well,
or a firm.
Yeah, or a firm.
Yeah.
I don't think it necessarily, I know that's the route we went, but maybe that's not realistic. Maybe it's more realistic to have
I
it,
have no knowledge of what's available.
Yeah.
You need somebody on site for a while.
I also think...
you can do that with a firm also.
Yeah, but it's going to cost you more than that.
Yeah, okay.
The firm is going to charge you their salary plus
$200
overhead
an
and
hour or
profit
whatever.
and blah,
Yeah.
blah.
But we can start with this as a placeholder.
Yeah.
Do we have a timeline on when Randy Frank would have a number for us?
It's going to be tough for her. She's finished up a town in the western part of the state, and so she's not going to be able to furnish us, I think, in the month of March what we want.
Okay.
So,
I feel like we've been waiting on her numbers.
I do too for
a very long time. Is that just me who thinks that? Like, I don't know if...
Well, I think that's part of the problem with the person we had. We were trying to get the stuff from one place to the other place, and it just seemed to be taking too long. But I talked with her recently, and they have the job descriptions, and what they do is they survey 7 or 8 towns that are peer towns, and get the salary information, and then they
salaries and payroll.
Price the jobs based on the market, and then they create the ranges and all that stuff. So it's not something that takes a couple of weeks.
Okay.
So
She
unfortunately,
had her email sitting in someone's email and it wasn't forwarded until it wasn't picked up until the 2nd of March. So her answers were just given to her.
Okay, great.
I mean, I would think, again, it may not be the right number.
No.
Right, but
it's a
We gotta start,
number.
we gotta
it's
start
a
somewhere.
substantial starting number.
Find
yeah.
out
decent number.
something very different by the end of March, we can change the number. Prior to we can even change the number after the budget hearing in April, prior to the budget being voted on.
Yeah.
We don't typically do that, but we could if it were like, oh geez, we need 20 grand more there.
Okay, so do I
I'll make
hear
a motion for the Human Resources Department, 57,473.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Oh, excuse me, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, where am I? Too many pieces of paper. Town clerk,
That's
20120.
Basically, it looks like salaries are the increase and contracted services. I don't know.
I think you're going to see, particularly with the assessors, some of these services are using the current environment to jack their prices up more than 2.5%. So I think that's what's going on there with COT, the system that they use.
What are the contracted services, Andy?
It's COT. It's a
Software.
TT. They do the digitizing of the land records, so you can look at it off-site.
Won't be on it. Is that a contract renewed every couple of years or annually? Or?
They do pretty much. It's almost like a sole source, really.
Okay.
And actually, we're using grant money and so forth to digitize some of the older stuff. And ultimately, we want to go back as far as we can, have it all on. So Jessica, the former greeter, has been working on that project.
Okay. So do I hear a motion for the 146-130 for town clerk?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Treasurer, no, tax collector, excuse me. It looks again, who's in charge of this? Kim? Okay.
Me and David. Again, it's pretty straightforward.
Well, the only trouble here is that Matt has been doing yeoman's work trying to help out because Suzanne is fairly new to the office, and so it's nice to have Matt, since he knows a lot about this stuff, to be there. We're heading toward getting scanners so that the checks can be scanned and the bills can be scanned, and that saves a lot of key punching and so forth. There's going to be some hopefully good new technologies in the office. This line, I believe, if you look at the 27 versus the 35, I think the difference was the third person. So, I don't know, Matt, if you think, I think Judy was thinking having less time, but some time from a third person might be valuable during July collection and probably not in January.
Well, December and January, January alone is sitting $10.5 million, $10.7 million. I mean, a lot. Until it comes in December. December was busy. For the end of the year, people try to get the taxes paid for the things that got them on their taxes.
True.
So this
Residual February was from February 1st to January 10th.
This wages line was basically cut this one person who's there all year long.
Right.
So it might be skinny. Do you think some time for a third person would be important?
For next year?
Yeah, I do. Just because two people in there, then you get interrupted, and you could have one person that's dedicated to just...
Probably like 4 or 5 weeks maybe during a collection. So that line might be a little light.
So are you saying increase it by $3,000 to $4,000?
I think so, yeah.
We're back to the 70.
We're back to the 35,000?
Right.
Well, that's a good bit more.
I think trying to...
Maybe...
I'd feel more comfortable leaving it in, and then if we don't use it...
Yeah.
But
he's not getting younger.
$1,000
Yeah.
isn't going to buy a lot of labor.
No, but I got the impression Kim was
If we
trying
want,
to...
if we're talking about having another part-time person, you can't allocate much less than that, I wouldn't think.
So put this, Tim, put that back up to the 34,988.
Maybe 34,000 or something like that. I mean, we could do the math and make it work.
Yeah, do you have your calculator? You've been Johnny on the spot, thanks.
The other one under tax collector is contracted services audit fees, that I'm just seeing as a new line.
And contracted services. So
Right.
What are those?
Well, there's two things. Contracted services, Quality Data is the principal vendor, and in the past, the tax office with 3 people in July
7340
would do the stuffing, and they bought the envelopes and the whole thing, and they did a lot of that work internally, which was labor intensive, but stuffed a lot of bills together and saved some postage. This year, for about $6,000, Quality Data could do that work, and the staff wouldn't have to do it. They apparently can mail for 48 cents a piece, depending on the weight. And Judy said that they should be able to consolidate some of the bills. So if you have 2 cars and a personal property and a house, you could maybe stuff the bills together, which would make a lot of sense. Not exactly sure how it all would fit together, but that would be the ideal. So the contracted services would be a combination of what the firm does plus the work for the tax processing.
Okay, so that's the 17 that you're talking about? I think,
Or is it the 8?
or is it, right?
Well, the 8 is the CPA.
Oh.
For some reason,
You mean
the CPA goes down there, it has to,
tires?
I guess because of the imbalance between the tax office and the finance office, the CPA had to figure out what the problem was. So I think for a couple of years, I thought it was more like 3,000 one year, and then maybe it was 8,000.
So this,
The auditors would go down and have to
Right.
do extra research. I think, hopefully with Matt helping out, we can get everything to balance more, so that this extra audit service wouldn't be required.
so it sounds as if finance did not want all the audit fees under finance.
I think there were extra audit
They
fees.
had to come back
Got it?
and just do
But-
the tax.
So this is a new line.
It was once or twice they were here, they came back in the summer for an extra day.
This is not the first time, though.
Tax collectors.
And then why do we think that's going to be a repeating undertaking?
Right.
I think they just wanted to
Make
make
a
sure
point.
it was in there in case they had to come back.
So if the tax department's all screwed up again, we can pay another $8,000?
Well, I don't think they'd like it to be 8, but I think that was, they came back twice and it was 8. Isn't that
Well, yeah, I think 1 year was 6 and 1 year is 10, so she.
And again, that all went under the finance department, not
Right,
under the,
not-
not
so
under the tax
now-
collector now.
Because we've never budgeted for it,
Putting-
we've had to
right.
pay it.
Well, I don't know how far off it was.
Well, it was never a line item.
What might make some sense is to consolidate the 17 and the 8. If we were able to have efficiency and so forth take over, that might reduce the auditor fee. If we need a little more money with quality data and other sort of stuff, because I know we get into a jam. If something's labeled contracted service audit and you try to use it for some additional help, the answer is no. You have to stick to what it says, whereas contracted services is a bit more nebulous. So if you merge the two,
But do you think that we need to increase?
well, you just call it 25.
Okay, but it's,
Under just one contracted service line.
are you comfortable with the 25? It sounds like a lot
My
of money.
problem is, the 8,000 is something we shouldn't have to be spending.
Right,
Okay?
right.
And you lump it into contracted services, then
And
it's
if
in
you-
contracted services, and
you
it
have
gets
that money
lost.
to spend.
Maybe there's I hear what you're saying, Tim, about reallocating, but I don't want to lose that $8,000. I want that to stand out so that.
Okay, but, all right, so you could leave it, and if it's underused, you might therefore have to put some extra money into the other.
Then it's in the department still, and it can be moved.
Right.
But
But it doesn't get used.
Yeah, but you
Well-
can't.
I mean, it seems like this is $8,000 that was likely spent in the current year that we're in. We just haven't seen it yet.
No,
Well,
it's
or-
it's under
or
the
it's under
finance
the finance.
department.
Under the
because it
finance
was
department.
But-
Budgeted there, it wasn't
Right.
You know,
budgeted here.
since these issues have sort of been brought to light, have changes been implemented to prevent them from recurring in the future?
Well, I think
Matt.
by having Matt there.
By having a selectman spending time in the tax office?
Listen,
Okay. It just,
I don't think this is going to be, I think that once you have the processes in place, this is going to be a
right, but I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. It would seem like the goal should be
Adding a
to
new
fix
one.
a process rather than to plug $8,000 into the budget
I'll leave it in.
as a
Just another
CYA.
piece of information, I think the selectmen are thinking about and are seriously thinking about having the tax collector be a salaried employee instead of an elected person. Therefore, when there's a change, or you could say, okay, effective November, the election, it's going to be a salaried position, and so anybody who wants to apply may apply. And then you could look at resumes and try to have people who have a real background in it.
Yeah.
And the same would be with the town clerk. And I've had conversations with both those people, and I think there's agreement that would be, that would be acceptable. I think it's the town's call. I don't think, Lyme has done this, and other communities have done this, so it's not, I think probably it's happening more to be a salaried employee as opposed to an elected official.
Okay, but in the meantime, we have to,
This year's budget, the contracted services are overwhelmed, $3,700. It was budgeted 1872 in January.
Okay.
You know where it's at? I'm just wondering, where we're at.
Good question.
under,
But the CPA that's doing the audit,
yeah,
they're auditing everything. They're not just auditing like town
Right.
clerk office, right? They're doing.
well, they may have to come in on an occasion or two to sort out what's going on in the tax
Okay,
collector's
got it.
office,
Maria,
and therefore an audit.
Under the treasurer's department, the audit fee is like $35,000 or $40,000.
Okay.
And this is an
And this is an
additional.
additional.
Right, exactly.
Okay, got it. I just wasn't sure.
I mean, I guess personally, I'd still recommend, you know, contracted service, leave it at 17, and add the contracted service audit fees to the $8,000 in case that's needed after July 1st. And maybe it's needed for one more
Cycle?
July tax cycle, which is the big one, or they have to do the audit for the town.
Or by the time we implement the changes, it's
Right.
years on its own.
Yeah, right,
Right.
exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess that would be my,
I agree that it should be kept separate, because I don't think this should be a
Get
catch-all
lumped
for
together.
all contracted services for the tax collector.
That makes sense.
Too much leeway.
So, Tim, are you comfortable with leaving in these numbers as 17 and 8?
Yeah, we might have to come talk to you later on, but yeah.
Okay, let's hope so.
And I guess we're going to change the wages line to be a bit better. Than
Yes, by, to
think-
put it back to the
I think that
35,000?
adds 60,
34.
I added 6657, puts it back to what it was, the 27,343.
Did you get a total number for select, tax collector?
It's at 27,343 now. You want to increase it, no?
Yes,
Yes,
To what?
to
34.
34,988.
88, yeah.
34,988, okay.
34,988.
What it was for 22, 23.
All right. Anybody done the math?
Yeah.
Yeah, Andy's doing it now.
I'm trying to.
545,
What is it?
adding that 7645.
Correct.
Mhm.
She was
Adding
just saying
this
what the
back in,
number
which
was.
Oh,
brings it
yeah,
back
yeah,
to the 3488.
130,
Didn't hear.
So 123,007
652.
7645.
One, so what, again, Cam, one what?
13652.
yep.
Yep.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
136,52.
136,
130,652.
30.
130,652.
Yep.
Okay, 130,652.
30652. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
A second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nay? Moved. Okay, treasurer. So now we will see.
So contracted services also increasing by 15,700 in the treasurer's office. Audit fees.
Oh, so, but that's, who's in the treasurer's salaries?
Nicole,
Nicole and Amy.
Amy, and
treasurer.
Mike,
Okay.
yeah.
And $1,000 in,
Is that all, is the 15,700 all audit and the 62,700 is all audit? Can't remember
Contract.
if there's any other, maybe does her BFSI in there and stuff like that?
If it is, the fee is.
Small.
Most of that is, I know she said the audit fee, she got the, on the back of it here, but she had said she got the restate thing. The audit cost went up.
Wow.
Also because
we contacting the same people?
Yeah.
Ron is retiring, but are we staying with the same person? Because there was discussion at a board finance meeting, if you had, the finance needed to make sure that they were signing a contract, but the contract had gone up considerably.
And have we signed?
No.
So my question, I didn't know that Ron was retiring. We've continued Ron from one firm to another, and we've followed Ron.
Right.
If he's leaving, then we should at least ask the question.
Right.
Do we want to look at different firms, send out an RFP, or whatever it is? But immediately, my question is, if 42 is the most that we've paid in the past, why are we up to 62 for next year?
Because
Does that,
I think that was the new contract that came in. She talked about it at a meeting.
So we're losing Ron and increasing the contract by 50%.
I don't have that information, do you?
33.
December?
That they gave us a proposal in December?
She said, it's up to you. She said, I'm not going to pick your auditor. You have to decide who you're going to use.
Well, I certainly think if we're going from 42 to 62, we should look into it.
Of course.
Maybe we hold off on this
Yeah.
amount until next week. Maybe David has some information.
Well, we're going to be seeing Mr. Narcisse at the end of the week, so we can have some direct conversation about it.
So we'll put this
So
off
we
a
could
week?
put 52 in as a placeholder, or something in as a placeholder.
Or just
Well,
move it to next week, one item.
Well, we could, but we're not going to know by next week, I expect, unless we have an
But
audit.
he said he's going to hear from him this week, at the end of the week.
And maybe David has other information, because
Right.
maybe the
He's
contract's in
retiring
his
or
hands.
leaving. Oh,
He's getting the report at the end of the week, the auditor's report to the selectmen.
Yeah, yeah.
I think there's got to be somewhere that we can locate it.
Yeah.
let me just understand, Ron is leaving his current firm. Is he retiring or going to another firm?
Retiring.
He's retiring. And you're meeting him for what purpose?
Discussions.
Just in general on something?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe he'll give you some advice?
Yeah, he'll help you have some.
It's worth waiting.
So if he's leaving, he might be more candid.
Dave
We
may
need a
have.
motion to move that item.
No,
We could just table it.
we
not
put
vote
it
on
off
just
until next
Put it on
week.
next week.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Yeah, it's not, I talked about it.
Yes, exactly. Onto the registrar's office.
well,
It's primary.
this is a function of a lot more voting rules. I mean, we just heard new rules are coming out. Instead of voting machines, it might be ballots, and 16 days, and 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. maybe, and so the principal stuff is that you can see some increases in the compensation. And you have the two registrars, deputy registrars, and an assistant. And down below you have the various elections and referenda. So the staffing is up about $2,300.
Right. Got it.
But Tim, one of the line items is primaries, which obviously last year we had a primary.
Yep.
Are we anticipating a primary this year?
You never know.
Yeah, I know you don't know, but we're also
Getting pretty
going,
close here.
$7,000 budget or $7,000 expenditure last year for the primaries, and budgeting $7,500 for something that
May not.
we don't know will happen. We're automatically budgeting an increase. You look at the history,
Right.
and it's, it seems
Pretty
like,
slim.
$3,500 to $4,000, particularly if you have extra help coming on board with an assistant registrar that you're funding up there. I would think that person would help if there's a primary, help staff it.
So in 1920, that was the last presidential cycle, whatever, we spent 36.
Yeah, but it's,
And then the last
It's not,
election.
it's not a
It's a local
it's not a
election.
presidential cycle
Well, this is-
in this budget year.
And not, okay, so 1920, I'm just looking, would be 4 years. Yeah.
But it's always been 36 something.
It's been
Yeah,
36,
so why-
not
Why
75.
7,000?
I mean, I get that last year, I assume, well, I don't know what to assume as to why it was 6,900.
There was some discussion about there was a local project. I just heard that in the conference.
But you deal with it after that. I mean, I think
Yeah,
doubling the
that's not so
budget
much.
for what, something that may happen,
Right.
it seems to me a little excessive. I guess I'd,
More than double it, yeah.
But they're at 69 now. They were in November.
they spent 69,
Do you have the update?
Yeah.
What is it?
It's 59, so,
Still.
That was a state election.
Yeah.
and that was,
Oh, that was definitely.
did that include cost for as part of the school referendum that happened on the same day folded into that?
No, that's a separate line.
No.
That's at 99.45.
Where it says referendum.
Almost 10 grand for the year.
Yeah, that was the
No, it must be.
school,
But I'm not seeing that
I'm not
under
seeing it under
registrar.
Referendum.
No.
Yeah, it's down, it's,
There, but it's left.
referendum.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, but it's only-
$260.
That's
Well, this is
nothing.
from November 15th.
What is
Oh, okay.
it there?
What do you, I
Matt?
didn't,
$9,945 now to the end of January.
well, that won't go up anymore.
No, it shouldn't.
It was,
Yeah.
better not.
It's 4,300 over.
School has one more referendum this year, right?
The school has one.
Yeah, that's when we had to have separate places for non-resident voters and resident
Right.
voters.
Were our legal costs thrown into that $9,600?
No.
No.
That's on a separate, that's under
That was
selectmen's?
all for legal costs.
Yep.
What?
The board of ed pays for legal costs. Both yours and mine.
Which means we paid for it, so it's the same
Well,
pocket.
no, but
No, I
they
understand.
said they weren't going to.
I believe that it was at a community leaders meeting and it said it did.
Well, we meet, sure all of, because there were a lot of
Because
bills.
it went back and forth, there was emails going back and forth, and,
I'm not privy to it.
I'm
You're not, so.
99.9% sure that it was paid.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the way it should be.
Right.
It was like $1,800.
All our money anyway.
$1,800, $2,800.
Okay.
You
So,
said you didn't, wouldn't pay it, and then it went across the year. And it was.
okay, let's move these on a little
I
bit.
do remember you saying that you do want
Remember that?
I do.
Tim?
Well, and there was a lot of signage and all kinds of stuff that was purchased for that particular function, so I never saw the submissions.
Basically, we spent $9,600, the referendum.
Matt, I'm assuming that.
Yeah, because you had police coverage, you had,
Right.
double personnel, you needed.
And the school doesn't pay for that.
You had 2 shifts of people.
Yeah,
But is it
two separate areas.
but it's really not the referendum, or was it also voting day? I mean, because it was both, right? Are
It
they
was a
count-
district vote, it had nothing to do with the
District.
town.
It was a state vote.
Right, but is that,
Two different groups of
Fine.
employees. You had
Fine.
the cafeteria and the gym.
Right.
Right.
And
So only one of those locations was actually due entirely to the referendum.
And
that's.
the chances of that happening again, I mean, there is going to be a Board of Ed budget referendum in May.
Yeah.
12 to 8 only.
So, you know, there's probably not going to be another Region 18 referendum in this budget year. So
No.
it seems odd that, again, in the past, we spent around $2,500,
No.
and now we're requesting $5,600.
So that puts
I
the
mean,
increase
I-
3850 above it.
You know, I guess I'd add,
Why don't we have Kathy and come in,
Jen.
and along with Jennifer Datum.
Well, or maybe not even come in, but to break it down for us and hand it out.
what's the rationale for the $5,600?
Right.
Well, there are a lot of these things that are a lot higher.
Register.
Well, and the
Okay.
training, I realize the education and training, that they've talked about that, how there's going to be more required, certainly there's more employees, but to go we spent $960. We budgeted money this year. I don't know, you've got the January.
Actual.
Nothing.
Okay.
So, I mean,
It seems,
if training's required and we're budgeting for it and we're not being trained,
that's a lot.
and then we're tripling the budget.
I think in January, Jen was going to the training, so it may not have showed up on the January. Right.
Well, but it may make sense for somebody to talk to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah.
And come back next week.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to David and get in touch with Jen and Kathy.
All righty.
Yeah.
Okay, so we move on to information technology. I see wow. Okay.
This one oh no.
So budget from 122 to 202,000.
Well,
Increase of 80,000.
you can look at the top line, and that's basically looks like moving
Coordinator.
Tom from
Okay.
facilities to full-time infotech.
Wait.
He doesn't want full-time.
Well, or whatever, not full-time,
That's a
but
part-time.
All of
his
his
full,
comp this
100% of his time would be infotech, right?
Yeah.
I misstated that.
Okay.
And part-time should be in facilities somewhere else.
So then I'm wondering, why is
There's no
the
facilities person.
infotech consultant line increasing from 82,000 to 123?
That's,
Because that's CT comp, and that's
they are all over the place.
$25 a month per item, printer, computer, for
Okay.
support. There's all kinds of fees involved, and as we add more things, that goes up significantly.
In 4 years, it's doubled.
Well, we've added a lot of stuff, but I
Right.
think it's more than gone long enough before this has to go out to bid. I mean, we can't do it for this budget year, there's no way.
Too late.
But I think for ongoing services, one of our goals next year should be to put that out to bid.
Is it a one-year contract?
I don't even know if it's a contract or if it's just a rolling, I'm not sure. I'm on the Infotech committee, but I don't know if there's a contract or not, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if there is a contract, but it should, at the money we're spending on it, it needs to be.
Now it does, right?
And it needs to be a multi-year contract, because you don't want to change the person every year, or the company every year. But, they put us in a good position compared to where we were, but it just is getting real expensive. And I guess I'd look to the Board of Selectmen, I'll say it again, I find it ironic that we were trying to hire a facilities person a year ago, and I recommended that you try to put them together, and we hired somebody hoping they'd have some IT experience, and now the person we hired wants to gravitate, has more comfort level with the IT position than the facilities position. I don't think I would have advocated to budget over $50,000 for an IT coordinator for the town of Old Lyme when we're paying a consultant, an outside company,
Seems like a lot of
the money we're paying.
Mm-hmm.
I think we do have a lot of projects going on, but that's going to be for a short period of time. I mean, yeah, they'll have to be maintained and all that, but I don't know.
Is that a done deal? Is Tom now the IT full-time employee?
He's not full-time.
Or part-time?
He's part-time.
We don't have a discussion, he has 25 hours a week.
Right.
Okay, but
And I think, I agree with Tim, that's all he wants to be. He doesn't want to be working 30 or 40 hours a week.
We have not had a discussion about breaking it into
from this, it looks as if he's budgeted for all of his time for that.
Dollars are here. But
Yeah.
That's kind of neither here nor there. What I hear is that there are real questions regarding Tom's position.
Yeah, that's
One,
what I'm asking.
Whether he's not doing enough as a facilities manager, and two, whether we need it as much as we're paying him for IT. So somebody has to figure that out.
I mean, I think he's working really, really hard and trying to do everything, try to put out fires.
Yeah.
And trying to learn, he's new to the job, July 1. There was very little overlap with he and Phil, that he kind of was baptism by fire. And Tom, we need you to do this. Tom, we need you to do that. You got to learn this. You got to learn that. So there's a learning curve in the first year, without a doubt.
But more on facilities than IT.
Yeah, I would say, well, my personal opinion is I think facilities is suffering because there's just a lot of things with these buildings. And so Tom is going to the hottest kettle, and
He said he's being reactive, not proactive.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest
You
things
expect it.
is that he has very difficult time getting contractors to return calls
Yeah.
because they're so busy.
Yep.
They don't need the work.
Yeah.
So,
I guess my question is, should we be having this discussion about his salary if we don't know if the position is in fact here?
he has requested a meeting with the selectmen before to discuss not only this, but to prioritize the projects coming up. And we need to schedule that with him.
But you're talking facilities, and we're working on IT, right?
No, it's
Or both?
Okay. With IT and facilities.
Well, I don't feel comfortable acting on this tonight. I don't know about anyone else.
Well, I guess, and I should know this, I'm on the salary committee, but is there any salary for facilities
I don't see it.
anywhere?
No.
It's all kind of shifted from...
Unless it's under building?
We just
What's under building?
On page 5, the bottom, it's $50,000.
5.
Facilities
it's in the
management,
town hall.
Okay.
wages, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The
And that's
$2,000.
50,000.
Well,
No,
the one below
50.
that, facilities
So
management wages,
basically, that's the number we had last year.
yeah.
That's in the budget. That's the line Tom is on. That's the line that Phil was on. And now we've basically doubled that
You're right. He's in 2 places
without really
now.
having any discussion. I don't think that was ever our intent. I wasn't on the interview committee, but I was I was working with you on the job description. I don't think the intent was to have an IT and a facilities person
For 50
each
plus.
making $50,000 a year.
Part-time.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll sign up.
How do
I don't
I
know
get that
any of it.
Right. So how did this number get here? Nicole?
And I guess, again, back to, is that what we need?
Right.
Do we need,
it?
or do we need 2 people that are 15 hours a week?
Well, or 2 for 25 each.
Take more time, because Phil,
Right, or something, but,
Right. But without the job defined, I don't see how we can do that.
I think that one of the things about Tom is he's not going to work, if there isn't 20 hours of work, he won't work 20 hours. He's very honest.
Yep, oh, I agree, yeah.
But there is,
He'll say, well, okay, this project, this week I'm going to have to do 20 hours for this project, but next week, if it's going, I might have to check in on site, but I'm not going to have to do the office. But he's also been fired for things here, like sprinklers, people can't sign into their computers, things that have changed. And he's at the senior center, he's all over the place, police department.
well, is this something the Board of Selectmen needs to decide before we review and pass something?
Well, yeah.
I think that's the message at this point.
I think initially with,
Whether we want to plug some numbers in here is a different, we can do that.
Right.
Without
But they
giving them
need to decide what his jobs are, in which department.
Right.
But for example, if we had 50 here for Phil before, and we think we need that as a facilities manager, then do we want to put some money in as an IT coordinator or not?
I mean,
We need an IT coordinator. We need somebody you know, Matt and I are on the IT committee, and there's no doubt there are a lot of balls in the air. And the intent was not to have this person rebooting a printer, but the intent is also not to have employees have to call CT Comp, our contractor, for them to have somebody come down here from East Hampton or wherever they're located.
Up 395, somewhere.
Okay.
Plantsville or something.
But we also
and
have
come
the,
down and reboot a printer.
but
So basically,
We
he's
have a
doing,
contracted
he's
service
gonna reboot that printer.
What's
And
that?
then, so basically, he's gonna reboot the printer. I mean, it's obviously more cost effective to have somebody do
In the
that
building.
stuff. Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Maybe we just want to put 25,000 on that line to hold it.
Well, if you do a facilities person, that's part-time. I don't know, with what we have queuing up, if you go 25,000, that would be, instead of, I don't know, 25 hours a week, it might be 15 hours.
But we have 50,000 for the facilities manager under the town hall budget.
right.
Let's ask the question, can you vote on it as is,
No.
and then we discuss it, and if you have to make an adjustment to decrease it in the end of March? We can have.
I'm asking you.
Can you do
Yeah.
that, or do
Just
you
keep
want-
moving. I think,
Okay, we're going to be here all night. Let's do what Martha's suggesting, but
and I also think the Infotech consultant,
is,
that budget needs to be, honestly, that's the first time
that's huge.
I've seen that number. And maybe it's because I haven't, the 123,406, it's gone from 82.
Right, 50% increase.
Yeah, we have a call at noon, or
Great.
12:30 tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
Is that not in their multi-page?
we don't have that here, Tim.
I mean, it sounds like, I mean, honestly, like, that number's gone up significantly.
Yeah.
And now to have an IT person sort of on site, that number should be going down.
Well,
It's
But you
two different,
explained
I
that
mean,
it's two different
it's really
animals.
two different things.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is the deep end support of,
Okay.
all right, I might have that at home.
This,
I
don't know, if you add it all, well, that's the capital.
You had to put into place.
That's operating 113.
Okay, so, okay,
This
that,
isn't
so
just,
that,
right,
okay,
it's not
that.
town
and-
hall
yep.
IT.
And then
Totally.
you had to add a server, you had to
Right.
add a server,
That
you
and
had to actually make
Okay.
it happen, you
Bullshit like this, so that's not happening.
Okay, totally.
Senior center, this stuff's not
I
happening.
was expecting it to be
You
like
know,
this type of
This
IT.
is kind of a wish list.
So,
Those are much bigger,
I don't think I've seen
huge,
a newer
like.
sheet than this.
Okay, we-
December
Police
one.
department.
Well, we'll see what we get. We have a meeting.
we can either pass this
But
and
that
and go
123
back and adjust, or we can revisit.
Yeah.
So, what's your recommendation? You've been,
I'm on the IT committee. I'd recommend we hold off on this till next week, till we get
Okay.
more information, more so on the 123.
yep,
We'll have a number, yeah.
okay.
I mean, I'm not as concerned about the 50.
No. Okay, probate court. Which is page 4. The only thing under that is contracted services for, probate. I don't think we have any control over that, Jim, do we? We're billed
The
7,900.
3 towns are back billed.
Right.
I'm looking for, there was a thing, I think they had some capital in there that increased this to the incline facility. But you can see it in the past, it's been fairly consistent, so I think there's a little building improvement in their budget.
I think you had brought that to our attention before, but I don't think there's anything
Yeah, I
we
got-
don't have any control over.
Can't locate this.
Make a motion for $7,900 for probate court.
Any second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Discussion? None? Okay. 7,900
Furniture, wasn't it?
passes. Next, assessors.
The contracted services, I asked Melinda why that big jump, and everybody piled on. You know, you get AppGeo and all the stuff that she has, so it's not just one vendor, it's several, and
Which comprises a $7,100 increase.
yeah,
And then wages are what they are.
That's what they are.
pretty
Okay.
forward.
Anything else, Tim, on that?
No, contracted
Okay.
was the only thing.
Anyone make a motion for the 163,285 for the assessor?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So moved. Building department. We have
The only
2
update-
salary increases and $700 increase under a contract.
Contract service.
Anything else?
No,
Make a motion for the 147,259?
Any second?
Garvin.
Discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Health department.
I haven't heard what this mosquito control job is other than
Wow.
it was a bad summer or something, but it's pretty astonishing.
Well,
Mosquitoes are getting bigger every year.
it looks like, why so much?
I mean, it was dry last summer.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
I know we didn't spend any money in January on them, so that 18,000 we spent year to date is,
it sounds like the actuals came within the budget. Why such a big increase? Did we switch?
Chemicals, I think.
No,
And where does the number come from? Is this from the vendor? He's given us a number for next year?
Probably a proposal. That's why I said, did we switch vendors? I can't hear you.
Comes under the health department, do they go out and get contracts for them?
yeah, they use IMCO. It's usually $1,200 a spray.
That big one. Could it be a mistake, Tim?
Well, I'm trying to see, looking at the chart of accounts, it's 27,000.
It sounds
I think the contracted services is Ledge Light, and then the mosquito,
right. Ledge
Cheap for
Light.
Ledge Light?
Well,
that's what they
we
are.
have their
Look at the
letter here. Their letter,
the
the
letter
letter,
says that's what it is, 57,509.
they sent it to us.
So,
Ledge Light
that's a
District.
good number
Yep.
for them.
that 18.5, so
Through January, it's 18.5 or November?
I mean, do we
Through
start,
Jan- we
do
didn't
we start
spray for
spraying
mosquitoes
again in
December or
May?
January.
Yeah, so if it's
April,
only
May?
18.5.
Right, so we're within the 39,000.
Right.
there's 20,000 left.
Right, do we spray in the spring
A
and
little bit.
through June?
I would think,
Yeah, May.
I would think
Not.
just before Memorial,
Yeah.
4th of July.
Depends
as
on the
well.
weather and temperature.
I
I
mean, it-
question that big increase. I don't see how we can.
Maybe
There's gotta be more information.
Yeah,
just say, we'll just suffer through it.
do you want us to put it off till next week, or do you want to
So I can ask,
schedule?
I don't know, I wonder if Ledge Light sets that. I don't think so.
No, usually we get a vendor.
That's probably why it's on a separate line.
Probably be Pappy either. That's all
Separate anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, why don't we wait for more information on that? Okay, town hall expenses.
I mean, everything I saw here
Mm-hmm.
seems to be things we've talked about before: electric, heating, oil, postage.
Business machines, okay. Town car, fuel, 15, and the,
Under heating, we've only spent $4,300 so far this year. It's been a mild winter, granted, but that seems excessive increase.
what, on the heat?
Yeah.
Do you have the actual on that, Matt?
The one from February is $4,300.
Yeah.
Tim said.
Yeah, that does seem excessive.
Well, from the beginning of February.
Yeah,
But
it's
still.
still been, I mean.
Why increase it 6,000 if we haven't even used
I
it?
spend more than that at home, I think.
Close your windows. Fresh air is overrated.
Maybe your neighbor's siphoning off the fuel?
So funny.
Oh, gosh.
I would just say the temperature in this room dropped at 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, do we need to bump it up to 20,000 if we're
No.
not using it?
It's been at 14
Yeah.
consistently.
I mean, I know fuel prices have,
Something.
Tim, we have a contract,
Something's not
don't we have a
right.
locked-in rate for heating?
Yeah,
But it doesn't.
this year, I think actually it's tapered off a little bit.
Yeah.
I locked in, and now I think the market's a tad lower than the pre-buy, which is
Yeah.
annoying.
Right.
Last year, it was a real winner.
Oh, but doesn't the town, I thought we
Yeah.
bulk with Region 18.
Yeah.
I think we have Wilcox, we have a cap, and then we also go down if it goes down, so it's the best of both worlds.
Well, for us not to increase the budget for 5 years is unusual and not to go over, so.
I think we could probably slice 4 or 5 off of that 20.
Take
Make
it
it
down.
15?
Yeah. Take 5 off.
Yep, that's exactly.
Okay. And then, facilities management wages, are we leaving this in, or are
Well,
we waiting
that's
until
for
after the
discussion.
IT? So,
I think that needs to stay in for now,
okay,
from what
so,
Martha said, so that lowers the bottom there to $200,010.
yep. So it went up
I'll make a motion for the $200,010
Any
for
second?
town hall.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
$200,010. Yeah, we lowered it 5,000.
Alrighty, insurance. Shoot. Yeah. Medical, increase of 71,000. Fire department, 4. And cyber
I
security.
think we did cyber, wasn't it a partial year, not a full year?
Might have been. We didn't get it in July, I don't think.
You didn't sign it, Matt, sign cybersecurity what, October?
These are, medical insurance, this is our quote for next year? Okay.
There's no way.
Yeah, this is all
No?
the,
So this is our estimate.
I think Nicole probably got this as an estimate from,
Yeah,
what is it?
Jeff.
So, yeah,
Yeah, but it's a state plan
okay.
that we participate in.
Maria, is this comfortable and accurate to you?
I think it's low, but that just means
For the
that,
cyber or for?
No, this
For
is
the
insurance, medical insurance.
Why do you think it's low?
That's what she does for me.
No, but it's up, right, it's up
10%, right.
well, I think, I mean, there's always a couple ways to skin it, but it doesn't usually go down, so.
Well,
I've seen large,
it also has to do with, obviously, the employee
right.
makeup.
I was just thinking the
And-
exact same thing. And where
We
are.
might have some new employees that are younger that might actually, I don't know if that helps or not.
Well, we have added people, so.
Yeah.
There's a,
the employee count on it is probably similar, but I don't know if they look at the,
And who takes the insurance, or who has a
Right.
date on that?
yeah, you don't,
Exactly.
you know.
and I think Nicole typically bills
Yeah.
higher
Big
than
jump
actual, just
last year or
in
so.
case something happens. Somebody gets married or something.
Is there a possibility that she got a preliminary number?
Yes.
There'd be no way.
No.
Really, there would just be no way. Like, those numbers they just don't exist yet.
Matt, do you have the accurate on that, or the actual on that? for medical insurance,
372,513.
and that's February? Okay, so we're within
So
that,
it's 7 months.
72 so far.
50.
It's right about
Yep,
the right,
right where it should be.
pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, we could leave it and just see where we are. I mean, we could also look at different plan designs. I mean, like, right now, when I last looked at it, it was like the best, like the Rolls Royce of plans. Like the best on earth, like basically. Which is a good thing, but,
So look into,
I mean,
But some of it's locked in by the unions.
right.
yeah.
Some we can't change.
No, exactly.
And I
Yep.
think we pretty much try to treat town hall employees the same in terms of increases in insurance as much as we can.
I've been,
And I can
increase is a
appreciate
lot
that.
higher than that.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
Okay. And the fire department, is that,
That's for the fire trucks and stuff.
it is, okay, that's what I,
VIJS or something.
fees, live property. Okay. So, the cyber insurance, is that a quote to us? We had quite a bit of
No,
discussion on it. Matt?
Matt's more familiar with that.
I think we may have gotten more than a one-year deal with this. Might be a two-year thing.
We must have
Keep
paid,
looking it up.
I wonder if it was a 12-month, oh, it's prorated?
I think we did it for the year. 3,000 a month.
Yeah.
It was about $1,900 a month if it was October.
For cyber insurance. 2,000 a
Because we
month.
paid 19,000.
2,000 a month is,
The full year is 24,707.
okay, so that's
But we got a
low,
budget 25.
right. So increase that by 2.
And we paid
Matt, is that good for next year?
it's a one-year thing.
So when does it expire?
August,
20.
2023.
So, well, but we'll only be paying in this budget year, we've already paid for July and August,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
It looks like we paid the premium up front.
Yes, I think when we started with them.
So, well, we may have to pay the whole premium up front
Again.
in August, so yeah.
Well, that was a quote, I'm sorry, that was when she gave us the quote. We officially accepted it in February 20th.
Not September.
But we're gonna have to pay, if we paid the full year up front, we're gonna have to pay the full year up front again.
Right.
We haven't got a new policy, but I can reach out to Tom tomorrow and have him reach out to Stacy, the lady we got this from, and get her to quote if you want.
I hate putting all these off.
Well, for now, if we budget the 25,
Right.
and
And
if
then
we
we
find
can
out
adjust
it's gonna
it.
be 27,
We can,
we can either let it fly or fix it.
No, we can wait.
you sure?
Until next week.
Wanna wait again? No?
Okay. So 3/14, big week next week, huh?
I guess with the open things.
You gonna leave it at 25?
We're going to leave
We're
it
gonna wait
where
till
it is.
next week.
Okay.
Wait, we're gonna wait.
On to special deductions.
I'm also getting a number, so that would help on the health insurance side to wait. I'm gonna see if I can get a projection.
As the special deductions, as far as I understand it, are non-negotiable. The only thing we don't know for certain is sick vacation buyback, right?
I think we just budget a number and we
And go
gotta
with
have
it.
it in there.
Okay, so for special deductions, 490,000. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Alright.
Nay?
Good. Kudos to Brian.
Yeah.
Pass on one.
Thanks, Maria.
I think.
Loud, Andy? Yeah, I know, but I think these are pretty, boards and commissions, 202. First one, management.
Doubling the budget.
Is that you, Maria?
I have to connect with Dave on that, so we need to.
Okay. 314. I know. Affordable, what?
Are we passing on that? What are we
It
doing?
sounds that way.
Yeah, so Dave and I have not connected on harbor management. I know he I think reached out to them, but he and I have not discussed.
Okay. Affordable housing, no change. Do I hear a motion?
3760 for affordable housing.
Second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. EDC,
No change.
no change.
I'll make a motion for 4136.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ethics Commission.
Every year Jim puts money in for legal, but I don't know anything ever happens. But she cuts that somehow.
Advertising.
So are we leaving it, are we increasing it,
I mean, they
Tim?
haven't spent any money this year.
No, I don't get it.
I mean,
They're down a lot of people again, so.
So do we need to increase the budget? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Let them have it.
Okay,
it's $290.
3284. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
Second, anyone?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Water pollution control.
Oh, they're going down.
Down.
Wow. That's good. I'm impressed. Well, the budget is down from 88 to 62, 61922.
You know, they're still on the hunt for the big money, so I suppose if something wonderful were to happen, it might get peppy again.
Mm-hmm.
That bridge.
I'll make a motion for the 61922.
Anyone second?
Irvin?
All in favor?
Aye.
Finance.
I might add that you know that Dickey has retired as the editor of the town report.
Yes.
And we, well, I think Dave has been in conversation with a new editor, and so Michaela Pearson would do it for $4,200 versus what Michelle did. So it's about a $1,400 increase. She's charging $35 an hour for 120 hours. I expect that would be a fixed price. So I think Michelle has been in there for a good long while.
What line item is that?
Contracted services.
Yeah. She's bumped it up a couple $100 maybe here and there.
So this would be 4,200 for Michaela.
Correct.
Better than 2,800.
Right. So,
Allegedly, she's very organized and
she's good.
quite capable.
Okay, so that number would increase from 11,801 to 13,201?
Do we know if the printing price is still good with costs of stuff going up?
It's under budget. There
It's
had
under
been.
budget.
Matt, do you have that actual?
It's not,
Do you
it's
have it?
not
It's
billed
not in
there.
there? Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Because we probably got it
Yep.
in we got the report at the end of January,
Right,
so
and
it
it
like
hasn't been-
showed up in February.
If you look up above at advertising, what advertising do we do? So,
All the budget in the paper.
yeah.
When the,
Notices.
for our
And
hearings.
what is it, year to date, Matt? What's our actual advertising?
Thank you, Matt.
Probably nothing, it's probably for
Showing zero.
it's for the budget hearing in April and then the budget vote in May.
Well, all I'm recognizing is that our actuals have been 2,000 to 3,000 and our budget's 1,000.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
because the price of,
The town report
Still
printing.
zeroing.
but I thought we established that we didn't have to put it in the day anymore. We could go in the Lime Times, which is less expensive
Right.
than the day.
so,
That actually has more people in town that receive it than the day. Since it doesn't go to every house. If you subscribe to the day, you don't
No,
get
but-
the Lime Times anymore.
Oh, you don't?
They stopped inserting
did
it.
not know. I get mine.
Everybody else,
Everyone else that
subscribe, they
doesn't
get it in the mail.
subscribe. So you get it for free. I mean, it is free, but I get it weekly.
Right.
I get
Wait a minute, oh, excuse me.
it annoys me that I don't get the one
Exactly.
Me too.
Well,
I
I would,
subscribe as well. And
I
they just
stopped
started doing that.
subscribing.
I'll check it out
And
here.
I hadn't, now I remember, I haven't been getting the long.
Started in January.
No number, Matt?
I have their digital subscription, but I don't
Okay.
get the.
Here?
Well, I
still
think
get the line.
what Andy's trying to say is, I think that's gone down substantially, the advertising.
So maybe
Okay.
1,000
Yeah.
is enough?
And Matt doesn't have any actuals for
There's
the year.
$0 in there.
I don't know.
Well, he just checked.
No, I know that,
Yep.
but we have, the two events we need to advertise are coming up.
We haven't had them yet this year.
They haven't happened. They happen in April and May.
And printing the budget, but we'll be seeing Collins, so maybe we can ask him if there's a way to have a reduced, maybe do a summary and then refer to the website or something, because to run the whole, gosh,
That's crazy.
That's a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, refer to the website. Or,
I mean, that's, right, you have to check with what's legal, because you do see, I
Right.
see, the East Lyme whole budget,
oh,
full-page ad in the paper,
it is.
and they hit you hard for those.
Of course they do,
Time.
because they're not making any money on otherwise. Well, they're not.
But do we nevertheless want to go up to 2,000 for the advertising?
I don't have a problem with that. At least cut part of it, if it's,
I mean, we were over budget
if it's
2 years
over.
ago.
What'd you say?
We were over
Last-
budget as a
yeah,
Board of
last
Finance
year.
by $900 last year.
That doesn't bode well for Board of Finance. Well,
I guess.
last 2 years,
should we increase that to 2,000?
Yeah,
I
probably.
said that brings it up to 4.
So advertising is good.
Yes.
yeah.
Last 2 years it was worse, yeah.
Okay, so with that and the increase of Michaela, I don't know if someone can check me, is it 14,201?
Sounds right.
Okay. I think it's 2,400, so sure, 14,201. I'm pretty confident in 14,201. Do I hear a motion for the 14,201?
Garvin?
Okay, any second?
Second.
All in favor of 14,201 for total budget for finance?
Aye.
Great. Flood and erosion.
So
I don't, thank you. Thank you, BJ.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Great. Okay, historic district.
In the packet, there's a memo from Denny Mallory to increase admin by $5 a month. If you read the memo, their caseload is going from about 5 years to 24. And he's looking at that second line, admin. She would request that goes from 3,331 to 4,655, which reflects $5 a month at $22.06.
How much is that, Tom?
What's total again, Tim?
Well,
Four what?
4,655?
That would be for the admin,
Yep.
and if I'm not mistaken, the bottom would be 10,155.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for 10,155 for the historic district?
Garvin?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Tree commission. Tim,
Under tree, I think on the second page, which is number 3, we scratched the, I think she wanted
Tim, she scratched
the
it.
tree stuff.
I spoke to her, she said to take out the 1,500.
But it's 1,800, so it might leave 300 on that line?
No, you're talking
No.
about the line above it, the new line,
Special project.
special projects, where they're
Special
looking to buy
project
trees.
to remove that.
Right, yeah, scratch the 1,500.
Right. And that,
And that
she wanted 450 for some tree planting, but she would take it out of,
Yeah, she's got,
line down of, right, where she has 8,000, and that would come out of there.
Selectman recommended that she do that.
So no increase, I think she said on that?
Well, I think if you take the 1,500 out, it would drop it to 14,175.
Which is no
Okay.
increase.
Which is no increase.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so do I hear a motion for tree commission 14,175?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Parks and Recreation Commission.
Same.
I'll make a motion for the $2,048.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Assessment appeals?
Same.
No
I'll make a
change.
motion for the 1659.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rogers Lake Authority?
Going down.
Yeah, I see that. Why is it down?
The clams.
Trailing on the...
No, they're still in there.
Weed-
Never
weed
mind.
treatment. No, weed treatment.
They're overfished.
Spend it on mosquito
So
spray
the boat
instead.
patrol is down, and
Uh-huh.
it was 0 for the past year, oh, maybe because of COVID?
No, it was,
Because
oh,
of
the
COVID,
amount?
they didn't have a boat patrol, probably.
Maybe. I don't know if we have an actual on it, but I would think it would have appeared on here.
There was no actual 0 for
Right.
2022 as well.
Okay.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's Rogers Lake Authority. Total budget $72,290, which is
And this
down.
is split, isn't it, Tim?
50.
50.
Oh,
It is 50?
Or are we just budgeting our 50% now?
no, this is full boat.
Yeah. I'll, 72,290.
Correct.
I'll make that motion.
Garvin?
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Land use, which does not look like it's...
The big change is Eric not coming in,
Okay.
but other than that,
Bunches negatives.
Yeah, a few. Okay, so,
Eric at the 84,000, Tim?
82, maybe, I'm not... Salary
Yeah,
sheet.
salary is probably the first line.
yeah.
And is that a full-time position?
Yeah. I guess that's it, with the 2%.
I'll make a motion for the 287, 114.
Any seconds?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. Townview Commission. So what's going on there?
I was just gonna say, what's happening?
Oh, toilets.
Mm-hmm.
They have, this is like a big wedding trailer toilet thing, and
Yeah,
I
talk to Frank.
I think given all that's going on, the contracted services cleaning and the trailer operating costs, and I'm not sure if there's a capital companion to that, but I don't know.
Boxes.
A
couple grand.
About that.
Yeah,
This is
so-
a new thing?
Yeah. Capital.
Right.
Oh, there's So we're
Like
buying a toilet trailer?
Yep.
Yeah, but that's, and then,
And these would be the
and that's
costs
the operating costs.
to go with it.
So is that something that the Board of Selectmen has approved?
No.
Okay, then you gotta decide before the Board of Selectmen.
I don't know.
Thank you, BJ. I love it. What?
Then we have to hold it.
Yes.
Or pass.
Unintended, BJ. Very, very well done. Well, so when's the next meeting, Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. Back to us?
Well, I guess we'll have to figure out how to talk about it.
With sensitivity.
And we can maybe,
Like a Charmin ad.
might have to
He
get,
hasn't had it down to the operations.
no,
Well,
maybe we could invite him to something. A week might be tough, but
okay, so then maybe the 21st,
Something like that.
28th. Okay, so that's all.
yeah.
I think I'll call in. Yeah. Love you. Conservation Commission,
No change there.
no change.
Move $2,012.
Hearing a second? Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Wonderful. Open space has been moved to March 14th.
Why, there's
That's-
no change?
True. There is, the one line in their contracted services for file storage. That was something that we had discussed last year as something the Open Space Commission was asking for, but potentially being something that would be more broadly applicable to all the commissions, as people likely have files on their own personal devices, and having them stored electronically somewhere secure would be good. So that line item, I think David and I wanted to discuss with Open Space to figure out if that was ongoing expense or what exactly that was.
And shouldn't that be coordinated with the IT
I was just
committee?
gonna say the
Yep.
same thing.
Yeah.
That should be a.
Yeah, and I think that was discussion that we had last year, and we talked to Open Space about that, and I don't know where the ball got left.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Discussed even during our, because every,
Yeah.
outside of this building.
Person.
Right,
Well,
right.
And the check was always $10,000 and they just hit it. And then last week, the year the budget went up to 14.
Yeah, Dave and I haven't met with them. Yeah, they were on our original guide until next week.
All right. So, and they didn't spend anything.
that's
Yeah.
been moved.
And they wanted to,
I don't know.
Preview.
they did want to make,
Yeah.
On the Eklund thing.
okay, so
Before we leave.
on to,
Mr. looking for your...
I'm sorry,
We've got a lot of conversations on. Before we leave,
okay,
we had
thank you.
a presentation at the Board of Selectmen by the Open Space Commission. Ferry Road going down to the DEP boat landing, there is Eklund Pond on the left, which, there's got a map here. This is Ferry Road coming here, DEP here, and this pond is here, and there's a little piece of pond that actually it belongs to the state of Connecticut called Shippey Pond. This is known as Eklund Pond, about 7 acres. And the Open Space Commission has been working to put together a program to remove the phragmites and bad stuff in that area because it's a freshwater pond, and apparently they are convinced it would be a wonderful refuge for birds. So the program would be that it would cost practically $40,000 to do this over a period of 3 to 4 years. And they talked to us, there could be they have about $4,700, say 10%. There may be a state grant for control of aquatic invasives that could come to play, but the way they map it out, it'd be $4,700 the first year, $14,300 the second year, $12,300 the third year, $7,200, and maybe a little contingency money. I suppose we could structure it in future budgets, although I guess they're not guaranteed unless there was a decision to approve the whole thing and then just pace it out. Because I suppose if it was year by year, a future board might say, well, we're not going to do this year. This could change too, depending on how well this removal went.
Or if they get the grant.
Yeah, grants. But that would still have to be budgeted as an expense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the budget?
I made it 40,000. It's like 38 and change. But if you put a little contingency in there, it might round up to 40. So we could have, if you'd like to hear them talk about this, we could have somebody come in and talk. It's hard to figure out what to appropriate. I mean, we could do that using their model here. We don't know what the grant money might be and whether 40,000 is a worthwhile thing to spend on this pond. But
is this something that would normally come out of their budget or their funds?
Possibly. Again, if you put it in future years, I guess, probably it might make some sense to have the selectmen and the Board of Finance say, we like the whole plan, and we'll do it year by year, just so there's kind of an umbrella to have over it. Did I forget anything?
So they... Okay. Do you want to have that discussion with them when you and David talk?
David and I talk with them. Yep.
And then they can bring it back to us the same night that we do their budget?
Yeah, we'll have them show up.
Yep. Thank you. On to social service getting closer. Where's mine?
There was, I think this is...
Here we go.
We brought this up last week, and we had a question about ARC, and they're pretty much adding $1,000 to their $750 request.
Unfortunately, I could not find either historical or current information on this specific request. I know that the town does receive mailings from these agencies that haven't expanded. Without a call, I don't have the record. I think that's a way quantum big jump. I think it would be, it seems to me it's too big and we should continue the thing we have been doing in the past. The other thing is a slight increase with the TVCCA. That's the organization which does the home heating oil for people, and that is very active, for sure. Not to denigrate ARC London, but anyone know what they do?
Who does? Yeah, they service young adults that are challenged. They do job training. They do great stuff. I mean, they have a bakery, they have a farm. They do a lot of great stuff, but as I said, I think last week, them just, I don't know, somewhat arbitrarily just adding $1,000, I think it's kind of, you know, they service all of Eastern Connecticut from here to Putnam, because they merged with ARC. It was ARC of New London County. They took over ARC of Wyndham County. They're a $7 million agency. They're almost as big as our town budget.
And we have to be careful if we were to jump one of these people.
I guess I'd make a motion to leave them at the $750 and make a motion for the total social service agency to be $72.76, which includes the $66 increase for TVCCA.
7276. Okay.
A little more, and because we thought that there might be a letter that they sent.
You know what, if we find a letter, we can come back
We
and
can
add
go
the
back.
$1,000 back.
I'd like
I
to
mean-
see this get
Yeah.
moved.
Because we had this on our agenda last
Okay.
week, and
We have a motion on the table for
7276 that's the total for social services. The change being ARC back to their $750 from last year.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Let's have a discussion.
Oh, you want a discussion, sorry.
I think I agree with the consensus.
Yep.
On the one hand, I don't want to just give them $1,000 without knowing why.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, I don't want to refuse to give them $1,000 and have the town of Old Lyme, if they have a good reason for it, have the town of Old Lyme be stinky, be perceived.
True. Egg on our face once again.
No, but I think if there's some research done, there must have been a request, and if we find that and feel that that's valid, we can always add the $1,000 back to it.
Yeah, I think we need, just verify it, because if we don't find out and it's disclosed that we were not generous, that can be a problem as well.
They could have just
Yeah.
increased their request to every town by $1,000, just to
Right.
see if.
Come Santa Claus.
No, I agree with that, too. Alrighty.
Thanks.
So we need a vote. Thank you. All in favor? Okay. Motion passes. Estuary Services.
I talked to the director.
So did I. Go for it.
And
Yep.
the number that they presented, 15,311, is the correct number. They are not charging us for the other items.
Right.
And part of that, or maybe all of that, is attributable to COVID money.
Right.
So he said, don't count on it next year at the same level, but enjoy it for the year.
Thanks, man.
So that you could use that number.
Okay, other business.
That's the 24th, we have to vote on it.
Vote on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. I thought it was, yeah. For Estuary Services, it is 15, do you have the number there? Andy?
15,311.
15,311.
As opposed to the 24,000?
Right, as opposed to it.
Right.
And it was verified. Do I hear a motion for the 15,000?
Herb.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the coaching, you guys. Other business.
Concerning sanitation, I did have a conversation with CWPM suggesting that we renew the same percentage increases that had been in place for the first 4 years, 3%. Mr. Manafort explained that a lot of reasons why. He indicated that when they bid the job, it was a lot lower than the competition, and that was a business decision. So they came back with 5% for the intervals. So I think there's some room to get something in between. Because I think for the first part of the 4-year contract, inflation was low, and fuel was probably not too bad. So I just think that, we've expanded our business with them because they're taking it the whole way, as opposed to just over to Essex. So I think we'll have more conversation. We'll revisit this next time if that's satisfactory. I think 5 is way too high.
Tim, so we're now coming to the end of a 4-year contract?
The what?
Now coming to the end of a 4-year contract.
June 30th.
Right. And has the pricing of this contract gone up 3% every year?
Right, 3% for the, so 3 jumps during the 4 years.
Okay, so it's gone up 3% every year when until this year inflation has been it's been below 3%. So you're right, they've done okay so far.
Yeah.
And now they're proposing a 4-year contract with a 5% increase every year.
Right.
So it'd be a 20% increase over 4 years.
12, 15, I guess. You know, you start out with...
Well, what do you mean? It's 5% the
Per
first
year.
year.
Right.
5 times 4 is 20.
That's a big one.
That just seems rude.
Yeah, it's nasty. And they're pointing to fuel costs and all this stuff currently, which hasn't been that way for the whole time. So I think we have to, you know, wrestle them.
Do we have time to put it out to bid?
I suppose one could.
I mean, it's a huge, it's a $1 million contract.
Yeah. When we, where the hell is it?
$1 million a year or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know that I brought that sheet, but
be a time.
I think ours was like 500 and something for the service, and I think the next two, there were 4 bids on our deal, and I think they were 500 and change, and the next one was low 7s and 7s and 8s. So they were pointing out that they did us a favor by bidding so low.
That's fine. So they have a low base to start from, so we put it out to bid, and maybe they're still gonna be the low bidder at 5%, and maybe that's a great deal for us.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are other people out, I mean, there's been a lot of consolidation in that industry in the last 3 years. I mean, Willie Waste is no longer Willie Waste, and they're looking for municipal.
Yeah, and they spent a lot of money on their trucks for us.
Yeah. So, and they bought other companies too. They bought Superior in Norwich or Franklin. They, I mean, you know, we've got the basis as to what we put it out 4 years ago. I don't know if that RFP or bid package could be put back out there, or with modifications, without a lot of modifications, and I would think these guys could turn it around pretty quick. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, maybe a few months. Well, a few months. Yeah.
Well, we'll continue arm wrestling.
Yeah, but, I mean, are we gonna put it out to bid, or are we just gonna wrestle with them?
I think we can get in the mud with them a little bit.
Still, it's $1 million contract. I mean, that's...
I would think we'd have to put it out to bid, based on our bid policy.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a contract that ends the end of June.
Right.
Oh, it's got the one renewal written into it, but, so.
What would be the disadvantage of
It's a
being
renewal
what?
without a price?
Well, I guess if you said no,
That's not...
if you couldn't, if you said we're gonna go out to bid and everybody came in at very higher numbers, you know, you might say rats, but
Well-
I don't know.
We don't know that until...
But I think you have to chance it, you know?
If we put it out to bid, you think their contract would be more than 5% increase?
No.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean,
I mean, they could, because they might think, well, everybody else is gonna be up 10.
Right.
I don't know.
I think it's worth
I
a
think
chance.
Again, I think it's Board of Selectmen's decision to put it out to bid or not. It's
Not our call.
but
We can suggest.
it's 10% of our budget.
Let's see, did you all get the Bow Bridge memo?
Yes.
We talked about this before, and this tries to encapsulate, and this would enable the committee to sign up the engineer and start working on that.
Right. It wasn't on the agenda for tonight, so,
She was here at the beginning, before you walked in.
Oh.
Talked to Judy.
right.
Oh, she didn't didn't want to do it tonight?
It wasn't on the agenda, so I didn't know if
I
it was
told her
something
we
we
could
could
bring
put
it
in.
up under other business, so she's content waiting, so.
I think she'd wait till 10:15.
Yeah, it's a little late. Yeah, I think we need to...
The senior center, you heard before, the asbestos analysis is a pending bill, it's going to be another part of it, similar amount, we should probably make it about $2,500 on that. Between now and the end of the year, nobody seems to say, oh, we know that there's going to be this and this and this, but I think we've all seen projects enough to know that things do come along that there's no budget for. And we're doing this for Lyman Olin. So the selectmen said it might be wise to have $15,000 available through an appropriation for whatever might come along. If it's not needed, it could simply go back into the till. Of course, once we get into the new year, we'll have the contract documents to go out to bid on the whole shebang. And we could build in whatever little costs might come along for the whole project. You know, the contractor will bid his part, but then there's going to be storage of furniture and who knows what to go along with it. So the other question is occupancy. Once the senior center has to close, it'll probably be a year while that's being fixed. And they will need to carry on in other places. So it could be a church, one of the nonprofits, who knows where. So I think the building committee thinks that their assignment is not to focus on alternate locations. They're to build a building. I think that it is nevertheless a price of the project and should maybe be built into the financing of the project so it doesn't come out of our budget for the year. So that's a second step that's not upon us, but it's something to think about. So I think it would be helpful to have a number approved for them to do the asbestos stuff and anything else that comes along, whether it's 15 or 10, you know, you be the judge, but that gets us through the end of the fiscal year.
I spoke to Stephanie and Jerry about the relocation, the occupancy. Jerry Baker has their heels dug in. This is not part of the building project. Stephanie put some numbers into the capital. We have to, Board of Selectmen, someone has to decide where those monies are going to come from. And Jerry says, well, it's not part of the building project. I said we wouldn't have these costs if there was not a building project. So to be continued.
Right.
Okay.
So what do you want to do about the bill?
Cherry
Well, Cherry, there you go. As is, Cherry.
And I'll open up the gateway thing.
Along with the gas station.
There we go. Making the golf ball.
You can open up Cherry Stone. Do we want to create a kiddie forum for short-term stuff?
I don't see that. I don't know. Is that on the agenda for tonight? Do we have to approve those funds or?
Not necessarily tonight, but
Okay.
soon, because the bill's already been issued. The last piece, if you want to defer that, is the Board of Selectmen talked about the body cam, storage, hardware, that stuff, and we voted that it should be pursued now, even though there might be the possibility of continuing with the state police, but that seems very risky to bank on that.
I mean, that's budgeted for in the current year budget, and
Yeah,
we were told that the number that's in the budget is a good number to get it done by CT Comp. So,
yeah,
I think that makes sense.
If it's already approved, then
Yeah.
what are we waiting for?
And I guess the state police would do the redaction and all that kind of activity. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we wouldn't have to, I don't know whether we'd have to have somebody trained to work the system, but I guess in terms of going to get information and giving it to whomever, that would be a state police function and redacting and all that.
So it sounds like a Chester resident trooper and a state police evidence officer, that's the one who deals with all that.
All right.
Is that it, Tim?
I believe so.
The only thing left is to review the minutes. I don't know how everyone feels about that. Was there a little, and we'll vote on it the next meeting. We'll give all this to Dave. Next meeting.
One other thing that came out under other business, and Matt and Mark, you might want to hear this. Rob, in my conversation with the fire department, we discussed the monies that they're receiving now for being on the highway.
$500.
And as to where that money is. And they have it in a separate account. They haven't spent any of it, but I think it should be up to the Board of Selectmen to figure out how that money is handled. They'd love to keep it, obviously, and use it as they see fit. And they do, they do buy tools, they buy stuff that they don't come to us and ask for. But, we just heard, look at the fuel cost for the apparatus, and, it's up on the highway idling for 2 hours. I think, I don't know, Board of Selectmen should make that decision as to, okay, the $500 sticks within the fire department's budget perhaps, goes into the apparatus account, or maybe it's some sort of split. It's $500 per occurrence.
Do we know what's...
And they have to do the paperwork.
What's in there now, do we know?
They said
1,000.
about 5,000.
Okay.
And I don't know how far behind that
can
is.
build.
Yeah.
I mean, but they've got to file paperwork on each incident, and I'm sure they have been. They're pretty diligent about that. They're very good. I mean, you just look at the...
Yeah, either way.
You look at this.
Yeah.
How many departments for $140,000 request put this together? And they're volunteers.
Well, they say they have to be diligent too, otherwise, if the things don't match up with the police report.
Correct.
They lose it.
Right. If the time frame,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but again, they've got it segregated. I think they know it's not theirs to keep.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the town, I don't know what used to happen when we used to get $100 going back 20 years ago.
I don't
Pay
know.
for the paperwork, maybe.
This is different.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway,
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? One more?
With apologies.
Okay, DJ.
The memorandum regarding the Bow Bridge,
Mm-hmm.
where effectively the Board of Selectmen has already considered the matter and voted on it and is recommending that the town add $20,000 to the 135. Is this something that we need Edie to come back and talk about, or are we ready?
At your pleasure.
I didn't know if we could vote on it because it wasn't on the agenda.
I just want to save Edie the time coming back next week if it's not necessary. I can tell her.
and the new amount is $19,500.
Under 20,000.
Well, then
that was
my
the other.
next question. If this is for the current fiscal year, we got to.
For the current fiscal year.
And it's for less than 20.
Chelsea suggested making it 19.5 and dropping the contingency to 6 flat.
Right.
That's the change he had.
Okay, so you want to vote on it tonight or next week, but not get Edie back?
I'm fine with voting on it. I just didn't know if it was allowed because it was.
Oh, yeah.
Tim has
Okay, so he's,
told them about other business.
okay,
Or other business.
so we can put it under that. Great. Sounds good. Do we need a motion to spend the $19,500 for Halston Improvement Committee for the Bow project? Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, do I hear a motion for, thank you. Do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting? Yes? No?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, let's go. I wasn't sure how